3,000 yards.
Wow.
Four
You're
back.
making me excited.
Welcome to the IDP Show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Soul Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. On my left, Bobby Reynolds. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Make it rain.
Making it rain, apparently. Bobo with some singles coming out the wallet there. You love to see that.
Those are 20s. I'm going to grab one of those.
Bobby, what are you doing to...
One of these. Got another one here. Need one of these.
Do you know how many are in there, Bobo?
We've been running some people on the golf course.
He's been hustling out on the disc golf course, just like joining some groups randomly and being like just throwing it backwards on accident, just totally pulling the wool over their eyes.
Exactly. You played with me. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like and one disc.
I'm like, oh, Bob, that's a great shot. And he's like, God, that's terrible. Dang it. Let's play mullies on this one, guys. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay.
That's accurate.
Fine
It
with
is
me.
nice playing with, whenever you play golf with someone that doesn't play a lot, and like every shot, you're like, damn, what a written, and you're like, I hate this guy. Please be quiet.
It's like there's a great meme on Twitter. It's like me watching the Olympics. I'm like, ooh, that was like a perfect little, figure skating thing. And they're like, oh, he has to really feel bad about that. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. Shows how much I know about figure skating or whatever the hell it is.
Triple sow cow.
There you go, Bobo. Bobo knows a little something.
I know about cows.
That you do. Thank you.
You're welcome, Josh.
That's a little
$20
tip.
for you.
That's a little tip for keeping this train on the rails tonight.
Yes, sir.
So, gentlemen, I think we had a good Memorial Day weekend. Got some golf in, it sounds like, Addy.
We did, yeah. Against all odds.
Against all odds. No one believed in you, but here you are with a 3-week-old getting some rounds in.
Blessed. The wife felt bad for me because I had to go back to work today, so she felt bad. And it's what a great wife does. Let you go play golf whenever you want to do it.
Just need to relieve some tension, or I swear to God, the top of my head is going to blow off.
I needed, just mental health time. That
Yeah.
was on the golf course. I needed just to verbally abuse myself for 3 to 4 hours.
There you go. Yeah.
What you do? I mean, really,
Your mental health spiked as soon as you walked in the parking lot, and then immediately took a nosedive.
it is like the rounds where I played a solo round yesterday at Shout Out Park Mammoth. Just will never get over that place.
Can we get them as a sponsor? Do you think we could pull
I think
that
we
off?
could. I mean,
Yeah.
I went viral on the. I'm gonna probably do some more tweets out there. I'll get some more likes and everything. But yeah, I'll maybe at least get me some free rounds for me.
Hey, that was my first job working for Dave. So, yeah.
Really?
We got an in.
Make a call,
Okay.
Bobo.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll see what we
get
can do.
Park
I
Mammoth
forgot
as a
about that.
sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, like when you're out there on the solo rounds, man, you're just the worst to yourself. You're just like, you idiot,
Yeah.
just saying the worst stuff about yourself. It's good. It's good for you.
It's good. It keeps you humble.
That's how you
if
know
nothing
your.
else.
That's how you know your degenerate status when you are on the disc golf or the golf course, just a lone round. I love them. Honestly, it's when I probably play my best, and I know that sounds ridiculous because it's like, well, nobody was there to watch you shoot a 79, but I did it.
Yeah.
It's no distractions.
Yeah, no one there to vouch for you. But yeah, I feel like you get more of a rhythm. It depends though. If it's no one's out there, that's the best.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I played in like 2.5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
That's money.
Just rolling.
Yeah,
That's pretty nice.
it was a good day.
It's a good day.
Good weekend. Hope everyone out there had a happy Memorial Day. That's always a fun one. That's always a great weekend.
It's a very
start of
underrated
summer.
holiday. It is. I really do believe that's the official kickoff of summer.
hot as hell around here.
It was
And the rain
so scorching.
Rain finally settled down too, where it was like, all right, it's not going to be 60 degrees and feel like Seattle. It's going to be like Bowling
It was
Green.
cold last week.
Hot,
It was
humid
cold, and
weather.
it was like it made up for it. I think this weekend we got 90 degrees and humid, and
Oh yeah, we did need that rain last week.
yeah, we did.
We're sponsoring a little state action today.
I was gonna
we got
say,
Vermont keeping it weird.
I got
Texas forever.
Texas
and
forever,
Kentucky
and
State Police.
Shout out.
Repping
Hope
some
I never
of our-
see you.
Repping some of our favorite states right there. Baba, where did you go to Vermont?
Oh yeah. I don't know where I've gotten this shirt from.
I was gonna say you've never been to Vermont.
I've accumulated it from somewhere.
Good shirt. Who
Yeah.
cares? Good shirt's a good shirt.
That's right.
Reminds me of my buddy in Austin. Keep Austin weird.
That's right.
Love you, JT.
There we go.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Literally, that's his name. So Adam knows him real well.
Yep. I was talking about the one Bobby's thinking about.
Yep,
Not the
totally.
running
Going to take you first in fantasy this year. Thank you very much. Please and thank you. Well, hope you all had a great weekend. It is a great start to the week, gentlemen, because Christmas came a little early this week. We all knew, if you've been keeping up with us on social media, that the IDP Draft Kit was going live on Wednesday, June 1st. And a little treat for you all, if you're listening to this here on Tuesday, the 31st, it went live a day early, so you can get in there and check it out. theidpdraftkit.com, $20, went live early. So if you were already a subscriber, if you had purchased the draft kit over at theidpdraftkit.com, you got access to it a day early. Get in there and check it out. We're going to be hyping this thing all off season. But tonight, gentlemen, we've got a very special episode. We're going to be looking at the top 24 Dynasty Linebackers, which, as I mentioned on the last episode, one of our most popular episodes of all time. We know y'all love some Dynasty ranks. We know y'all love some linebackers.
We love the numbies.
And we love the numbies. We are nothing if not vain, Bobo.
Oh, yeah. Love being vain.
All about the numbies.
All about the numbies. So we're going to hit you all with the top 24 linebackers. This is pulled directly from Adam's Dynasty ranks over at theidpdraftkit.com. So we're going to walk you through, and you're going to get a small taste of what all comes in this draft kit, boys. But before we jump in, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the kit itself. Addy, Bobo, y'all did rankings for the kit. Addy, you did redraft and Dynasty. Bobo, you did redraft. We also had Logan from IDP Guys, who's one of their rankers, helped us out with some consensus ranks, and just got to look at the finished product before we came out here, Addy, and it's looking pretty good.
It's good. It's good. I mean, we spent a lot of time on them. We want these things to be legit. I mean, if we're going to, we've never charged anyone for anything. So the fact that we are actually doing that, we want to make sure and we do a good job with what we put out there. So we've done that. We've worked hard on it. We're going to continue to work hard on it.
Yeah.
These things are going to keep getting updated because there'll be plenty of things that
That's
happen.
right.
And yeah, we look forward to getting feedback as well, because this is our first year doing it. You know, we want feedback because we want to make this thing awesome. We want to make it even better. But yeah, it's awesome to work with everybody and get to do this.
It's a good group, Bobo. Good group of folks that we got to work with on this IDP draft kit.
It truly is. Truly is. But, you know, me and Adam are good rankers. Adam said it last
Definitely
week.
top 20.
You know, we're definitely in the top 20 IDP rankers for sure. It's good stuff. No kidding.
And you had to retrain your brain a little bit to do redraft, because mainly we play in the Dynasty world. This is primarily a Dynasty-focused pod, so I think it was a good exercise for y'all to get in there and do some redraft as well.
You want to know what probably helped me the most with that is your stupid little best ball leagues that you keep throwing us in.
Thank you.
And I have a draft.
Exactly right.
What a compliment.
That's a great point. We're actually out here drafting in these streets. You know, we're not just looking at. We're doing that as well. We're looking at the stats. We're in the spreadsheets, but we are actually out here drafting, and that's very important. We're not just doing just the leagues we're in. We're doing mocks. We've started doing a ton of best balls. We've got these reps in, which is important. A lot of people don't do that. They just
You can't know value if you're not in the sheets and in the streets.
Exactly right, man. I mean, it just helps us with the rankings and everything. So we kind of have an idea of what people are doing and when they're doing it, and I think that's helped us a lot.
For sure. And we've also should mention in the kit as well, we've got some great write-ups in there, some blurbs on out sleepers and busts that our boy Kyle Bellyfuel and DFF Trip put together. One of my favorite resources, gentlemen, is the vacated snaps report that Kyle B put together. This is for the I like to do my own research and draw my own conclusions fantasy player. Okay, get into the vacated snaps report. It looks at DL, LB, and DB snaps that are vacated by team, and it's color-coded so you can really easily see that the Las Vegas Raiders, for instance, Bobo, have a ton of opportunity up for grabs. So then you can decide, who do you like from that team for your IDP squad?
Absolutely. And I'm a little bit like that to some extent. Offensively, I will check out ranks from time to time from the big names. But honestly, I like to come to my own conclusions about players or thoughts or teams or people forget a lot too that rankings are projections. They're not looking back always at stats. Anybody can do that. Sleeper can do that for you within the a couple clicks of the mouse. You can figure out who scored the most in 2021. That's not going to help you for 2022 because there's a lot of things that you might possibly miss, and we've talked about this before in a lot of these drafts. Josh says that he'll pull up a lot of Adam's ranks, and the reason you want to do that is not because You know, I don't want to be cocky. I don't want to be the cockiest person there. What I want to be is the most educated person there, so that when all of a sudden there's a linebacker who people completely forget about, who was either hurt or wasn't drafted or just sleepers ADP has just buried them, then you look like a freaking genius when you've got them here on your, you know, your ranks that you're actually looking for.
Or the cheat sheet. Another great feature of the draft kit.
Yep.
Really beautifully designed cheat sheet with all of our redraft consensus rankings on there.
Print it off.
Print
if
it
you want
out.
to. Who cares?
Cross it off. Yeah.
Y'all made fun of me for years.
I know. Still
Back
do.
of the VIP, bringing my old
I get it,
pen
though.
and paper.
I get it.
If the cheat sheet is good enough,
Yeah.
hey, F it up.
F it up indeed. So that is another feature of the draft kit that we're crazy about is the cheat sheet, the vacated snaps report. I mentioned in the video that I made for Twitter that the scheme capsules that DFF Trip wrote,
Yeah.
worth the price of admission alone.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to say anything else after DFF Trip. People
That's
know.
it.
We've had it. I mean, he's
That's
been on
it.
the show. He's crushed. Everything he does is gold. The guy is extremely smart, and I love getting to learn from him.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the brightest minds, especially on the coaching and the scheme and how that's going to impact IDP. This is not just like chest pounding, trying to sound smart for the sake of it writing. He really helps you try to understand where there might be value, where you might be coming up a little bit short based on the scheme for each of these teams. He walks through the relevant pieces. It's fantastic. I also want to shout out, we have the IDP starter kit in there, which is a great resource. If you're new to IDP, which I'm guessing, boys, a lot of the folks who check this draft kit out will probably be new to IDP or newer. And so if that's you, if you fall into that boat, welcome. We're glad you're here. And we have a starter kit in this draft kit for you. It's going to be a couple of podcast episodes I did with Mike Wellert, some starter articles from IDP guys, and then another really cool feature, gentlemen, an article from DJ Keltown looking at the scoring breakdown, comparing different scoring systems to see which might be best for you. Is it really that different from one scoring setting to the next? How big play one league is compared to the other? If I'm remembering correctly, by the metric he came up with, we are the biggest big play league out there.
Yeah, for like defensive ends or defensive linemen. And
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, just a star-studded cast.
it really is.
Top
And
to bottom.
We've tried to cover all the bases, but like Addy said, we would love you all's feedback.
And it's a one-time deal.
Yeah.
It's not like you're paying it every month.
That's right,
One-time
$20.
deal. We're going to keep updating it. You can reach out to us, ask us questions. Like we are all very responsive. Yeah, we want you to win your leagues.
That's right.
We think you will.
This is going to be a great start.
Great
Again,
start.
You
We
don't
want you to be patient with these. Like this is why you have this stuff. We want you to be patient. Get your offense out of the way. Don't start hitting IDPs until like the 7th, 8th round at the earliest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be patient. That's what you want these things for.
Yeah, and when you have, like we've said, Bobo, a good list of players, that's what, even if you are a 10 to 15 year veteran of IDP and you said, I don't need ranks, have a good list of players, because even the best of us forget players from time to time.
Absolutely. You know, and that list is going to change. We're going to sit here a month from now, and the list is going to be completely different because all of a sudden in camp, 2 guys have torn an ACL. One guy's got picked up off free agency, and another guy was traded. You know, so tune in. You know, get you a draft kit. Continue listening to us. We're going to set you in the right direction.
Yeah, what happens when I saw Baron Browning is making the Micah Parsons change and being lined up at edge, and that's apparently where he's going to stick. How does that affect his ranking?
Is that gaining more heat?
Saw that on Twitter today. Mike Wellert retweeted it. So
What was on that?
Wow.
heard it. Another great tweet I saw was about Quay Walker, that he, from the front office on down to the coaching staff to the players, are saying this guy is going to transform what we can do on defense. Where does Quay Walker go if that actually is true? Or is this another Zaven Collins situation? That's what we're going to figure out. What happens when A.J. Johnson signs somewhere? Where does he go in the rankings? All these are the sorts of things that, you know, is going to evolve throughout the summer. That's why this can't be a static resource.
AJ Johnson's going to Arizona.
Yeah.
There's the kill Zaven Collins.
With Nick Vigil.
Oh, man. Where would y'all like to see him? Because I've got him in our main league, and I'm just like, man, I hope he lands in a
A.J.
primo spot.
Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I've said the Lions.
That'd be a great spot for him.
I'm just trying to think of those talent-deprived linebacking units.
I think the Chargers would be fun.
They would be
That wouldn't
that'd
be
a
bad.
good spot for him.
That wouldn't be
Stay
bad.
in the AFC West.
Can't argue that he's not worse than Troy Reader.
He's going to the Chiefs or something stupid.
No, and he's probably better than Tranquil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Lions, the Texans, why not? I mean,
God, no, they got enough linebackers. We don't.
but
he would win out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think.
He's immediately the best in a very muddy situation.
I love. I went back today or maybe yesterday and listened to 2 podcasts back of the Big Nickel with Kyle B and with Macri on the landing spots for the linebackers, and they were talking about Muma again and how Jacksonville's, upper echelon, their brass is going to be sitting back watching Foyer thinking, how much do we pay this guy?
We paid
again?
this guy how many millions guaranteed?
When can we get out of this thing?
Yeah. So
And it's 2023, right?
I think it's not till 2024.
Ugh.
Yeah, because
Yikes.
that's why I've been saying it's a 2-year hold on Muma potentially.
Okay, well, that's fine.
22 and 23.
My thought is could you move Foyer right now?
No,
Yeah, I mean-
I don't think you could with that deal.
Oh, you're talking about in real life.
Yeah. Not
Um,
IDP. Jacksonville's probably stuck
No,
with him,
no
you think?
one's- Yeah, no one's taking that on.
I got you.
No.
I don't know exactly
Absolutely
what
not.
the deal was, but
It
it's
is a
pretty
lot.
rich.
It was
I think
a
teams
lot
are-
of money.
We're more than happy to see Jacksonville shell out that for
Yeah.
him.
Thank you for
Yeah.
It had to be
removing
one,
the temptation.
It had to be one of those situations where after they got Muma, they were like, "Gosh, dang it,
Yeah.
we got these 2 linebackers and we just paid him a lot." Like, I mean, best player available, but
They overpaid everybody. I guess you have to get people to want to come there.
You don't have to pay Zay Jones $9 million a year. You
Yeah, that
just
was-
don't
that
have
was-
to do it.
that was
so
silly.
do you like that method or do you like the Chicago Bears where they're like, we're just not going to pay anybody this year. We'll see y'all next year.
I was thinking about that because the question came up of like, do you overpay for like a Kirk Cousins type of quarterback, or do you go pay Mitch Trubisky $10 million a year? I mean, I don't know. I think you win more ball games with Kirk Cousins, and as a fan, I don't know. Winning is cool. Being competitive is cool. Do you want to watch Mitch Trubisky or Marcus Mariota or any of these other Jags that were out there on the free agent heap this year? I sure don't. Even though Kirk Cousins is not the most exciting thing, the argument was, do you overpay for these middle-of-the-road quarterbacks, or do you just go grab someone off the free agency heap for a third of the price?
I'd probably prefer the third of the price, just because, I mean, think about it with Minnesota. They never have top picks. They never can go out and get like one of those top quarterbacks. They always get like the 3rd or 4th option or whatever. They're like too good to be in the running for one of those guys unless they just trade 3 picks or whatever to move up in the draft.
They're stuck in that Steelers purgatory.
That's the problem
of
with
you're
it.
you're not bad enough to tank.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see Kevin O'Connell try to mimic some of the Sean McVay type methodology.
That should be great for Kirk.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already talking about Thielen's already talking about how he's learning more than he ever has in the league.
How old is Kirk?
so
Kirk is like 33,
I was gonna say
34.
early to mid 40s. He's Tom Brady. Early to mid 30s, I think.
Kirk is kind of the franchise quarterback that's the most disheartening for a fan.
33. He'll be 34 August 19th.
There you go.
Every year there's that glimmer of hope to where it's like we could make the playoffs.
That's what they were saying is how many coaches have come in and said, I can win with Kirk Cousins,
Yeah.
And it just is this false hope that very quickly turns
You can maybe
to
win a game. You can maybe win the opening round.
a playoff game.
You're not going to win.
No.
He can't string them together.
the weird Diggs catch.
And that
Now-
wasn't even him. That
Yeah.
was Keenum.
Marcus.
Let me ask you this,
Was
though.
Yeah, that was Case Keenum.
That was.
Yeah.
Cousins,
Wow.
I think he has 1 win in Minnesota.
Here, let me ask you this question, though. That's with the Vikings.
Wow.
Let's say you drop Kirk Cousins, and this is not unrealistic because it's Kyle Shanahan. If Kirk Cousins is the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers last year, they probably win that game against the Rams, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Kirk
a serious – that's
Kirk
what I'm
Cousins
saying.
is a major upgrade over Jimmy
You
G.
can win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, but you need a stellar supporting cast.
Yeah, and that was always the rumor that Shanahan wanted Kirk Cousins for that job
Yeah. Makes
Wow.
sense.
because they had their history there in Washington.
Yeah.
right?
And Kirk Cousins, people forget, ended up taking the job from RG3.
The
You know?
49ers are kind of prime right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, prime defensively and then, prime offensively as well. You've got some good young running backs. You've got, I don't know what your Debo situation is, but Debo, Ayuk,
She's a good third running back.
Kittle. Oh my gosh, man, they
Yeah, you see what they're. I mean, the rushing threat of Trey Lance and them having these 2 backs that are just going to pound you to death. It's going to be hard to deal with.
what's
Okay,
the-
so question. what's your confidence meter, 0 to 100, that Trey Lance is the week 1 starter?
Oh, 100.
For me, it's about 70%. Every day that Jimmy G is still on this roster, I grow a little more skeptical that Shanahan's actually going to pull the trigger
They're
on
not
this.
going to let Jimmy G start.
I don't know, man. It makes me nervous.
That dude stinks.
I know, but he's the known factor, right?
Yeah, that's dumb. I mean,
I agree. I think it should be Trey Lance, but
and Kyle has come out. I mean, if he wants to do that, that's fine. But Kyle has already come out and said that Trey Lance is the starter.
well, there you go.
Garoppolo's not good, but he's also not bad.
That's the thing.
And I don't mean even middle of the road.
Coaches
he's in
like
this
consistency.
He's this whole other, better or worse than Alex Smith?
Worse. He's not good.
Alex Smith at his height was a very good quarterback.
Because Garoppolo reminds me of Alex Smith from a game managing type mentality.
He has no deep ball.
That's true.
He's terrible.
I would be
He's
interested to
awful.
know the how far downfield they're throwing the ball. It can't be very far. It's got to be like Big Ben-esque.
Lowest depth of target probably
Exactly.
for a
Yeah.
quarterback.
What's the so early mini camp hype? What's the who's the player that you're getting the most getting the most hype about for this year? Anybody?
Nobody,
Offensive or defensive?
Nobody yet, man. I try not to get too much in on this.
I have one.
I did like the Michael Pittman saying Matt Ryan could stick it wherever he wants, and Twitter had a field day with that.
No, I
one.
didn't see that. I missed that.
Twitter was dropping some
that.
veiled butt jokes.
Love that.
Who's your guy, Bobo?
Probably David Bell.
You
David
got you got Bell. So you got the Bell Bros.
Dang
you got
it.
Von Bell and David Bell
I know the whole Deshaun
and
thing.
Alexander Graham.
We've had a conversation about that. But if Deshaun does throw the football, I think David Bell could be fantastic for fantasy football.
Deshaun caught a 23rd case today. I don't know.
I did
Don't
see
know
that.
what's going to
That's
happen.
true.
with
That is
Deshaun
true.
I did
Watson.
see that.
Don't know what's going to happen. with that.
Where's Baker going?
I think he's going to be starting week 1 for the Browns. I really do.
Wow, how weird is that?
What's who's? I know you got one.
For offensively, I like someone that's late that I've been liking a lot recently is Kyle Phillips, Tennessee Titans.
Oh yeah,
He's a dude out of UCLA, kind of like a slot receiver.
that's a deep dive.
But man, he's looking really good
Mm-hmm.
in practice and stuff. I mean, he's just got that prototypical.
He's got that
slot
dog in
receiver.
him.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But really nice, crisp routes. I mean, he's been getting rave reviews, so he's someone that I like. I saw that Jaquan Brisker was getting really good reviews.
Mhm.
Same with Kyler Gordon. So, yeah, I like that.
All right. There we go.
How you feeling about Hollywood Brown right now?
Fine. Yeah. I mean, I
That's
think
a big bump there.
That's a huge bump.
yeah, I mean, seeing Nuke Hopkins on the sideline for the first 6 or 7 games.
And you were
then
wondering
6.
what's happened with the Cardinals the last episode. It's because they just lose. They've lost all their offensive pieces down the stretch the last few years.
Yeah, maybe.
DeAndre Hopkins is getting old.
I think the league kind of figures him out. And I wonder, is that a coaching thing? Is that a Kyler thing?
I think that's a coaching thing.
I would love to see them with a new coaching staff. I really think Cliff Kingsbury holds them back.
I feel like Kyler, I mean, what he should be able to do is basically anything.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, he was playing at an MVP level those first 8 weeks.
yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of people. I mean, he's small, I guess, but that hasn't really been held him back too much so far.
I lied. Justin Ross, yummy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Bobby is
that's
going to
been
be,
fun.
he's
That's
going to
a
be
good one.
taking Justin Ross in about the 5th round of drafts here.
Back of the VIP and redraft offensive only. He's going 4th round to me.
You're getting a $200 budget. You're going to be dropping about $150 on Justin Ross.
You all are right. He does have to take a couple
hit.
hits.
take an actual football hit.
But man, if he can take those, good gosh. What about Wandale has actually
More than 1 or 2, Bob. He's
Well,
gonna have
2 or
to
3.
take
2,
a season
3 or
full
4.
of hits.
If he ever gets on the
We'll play him
field
on
as
the
the
outside,
Chiefs' 5th
Adam.
receiver.
deep outside? What about Wandale? He's looked okay on
He's fun too.
Danny Dimes' horrible deep balls.
He's someone that's just been a value basically on every draft. Is like he's been there in the 3rd round, like in
Yeah.
a lot of leagues.
You overdrafting? Are you drafting him ahead of Kadarius Toney?
Probably.
now, like in a startup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the Kadarius Toney's disgruntled. Like, I think he broke a pinky toenail and was out for 2 days from camp. So
But boy, man, he was awesome for a stretch.
he
there
was.
last year.
I just think he's disgruntled. I think he wants out. I think he'll be somewhere else potentially.
Which could be good for him. That could
Yeah,
be. I mean,
fresh
that
start,
wouldn't be the worst.
let him
thing.
piss off
Get away
another
from
team.
Danny Dimes.
Something I learned the other day. Did you see Calvin Ridley was being talked about coming to the Eagles before all of his stuff came out.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a surprise. They ended up getting A.J. Brown, right? So they were in the receiver market.
That's kind of fun.
I'll leave you all with this, and then we'll get into the
I've been paying
IDP talk.
attention to a ton of receivers.
I heard this on the Underdogs Fantasy Football Show. They said they had Charles McDonald on, and he said what they call Calvin Austin, the Steelers wide receiver, in their group chat. Bobby, I know you'll appreciate this. 2.0.
Oh, gosh. Hey.
He's getting good reviews, though, right?
That's 100% true, man. I don't know what's going on with Van Jefferson right now. I don't know why he's not running, but essentially it's Kupp runs one, A-Rob runs one, and then Tutu runs one. I actually saw a bunch of hype today for Tutu, not just these weird catches, but one thing was how many yards after the catch, or maybe how many receptions per game he had in the preseason. They were basically saying, like, McVay was preparing for using him, and he's going to get used. Don't go get him. I don't really know what fantasy value he's going to provide, but, yeah, the Tutu season. Tutu 2.0, gosh.
2.0.
2.0. That's even better.
It's great. It's a fantastic nickname.
Wow.
Really good.
So let's get into Dynasty Linebackers.
Not for him.
Yeah, not for
us, it's great.
not for Calvin
To
Austin.
be continued. Could be season of Tutu.
Tutu season. 2.0 season. Let's talk Dynasty Linebackers. And right off the top, we're going to give you all a little bonus here. The 25th ranked linebacker.
Hey, let's not do that. That
It's-
might step on the kit.
Cat's out the bag, Addy. We ranked quite a few linebackers.
Come on now, Josh. Don't give it away for free.
So 25th ranked linebacker, just for y'all, because I love you, is one of my babies, one of my flag plants who really just kind of shoved it in my face last year. Jamin Davis of the Washington Commanders had 76 total tackles, 3 TFLs, 1 sack, and a pass breakup. Graded horribly, 46.8 overall on 56% of snaps. Played 16 games, 6.4 points per game, but 10.14 points per game in his last 5 games. So he finished the season strong, got more playing time as the season went on. Addy, what gives you confidence here to put Jamin Davis inside your top 25 linebackers for Dynasty despite a pretty underwhelming rookie campaign?
I mean, the fact that it's going to be a second season. He's still young. He still has the first-round draft capital. He still has a pretty shallow depth chart in front of him. Nothing that's, too scary. We like Cole Holcomb. Love that he has the mullet. That's our favorite thing about him, of course.
John Macri's new picture in our Slack.
Right. So Macri's a fan. That's enough for me. On the Holcomb talk.
How did the Holcomb talk hijack Jamin Davis?
We'll get to Holcomb. Yeah, he's on here. That's right. But yeah, Jamin Davis. I mean, he's young and he's gonna get an opportunity at some point. I mean, and maybe even this year, I'd say that they'll likely be running a lot of 2 linebackers out there, and I would hope that Jamin Davis is that second one.
Yeah, it's Bobo. It's draft pedigree, draft capital, it's opportunity, and it's like Addy said, the fact this guy is so young.
Yeah, the other thing I've been thinking here lately too is think about how many of these especially rookie linebackers, come out in their first year and grade horribly on PFF.
That's true.
You watch a bunch of these off-season mini camp shows. I'm sure your team out there has a YouTube channel where they're talking about, Jamin's getting into the, he's getting into the playbook. He's learning the defense. He's learning what to look at for the opposing offense and everything. It's not so much a playing thing. It doesn't always have to do with their play on the field. It has to do with their understanding of the game. College football to the NFL is it's getting further and further apart from, even though it might kind of look the same, you turn off a college football game and turn on the NFL, it might look similar, drastically different things. And I think that could just be one of these things is that, A, you've got really young guys, and B, the NFL is just a hard thing to understand.
Nate, a friend of the show, Nate Tice, said it very well. Linebacker is becoming an increasingly difficult position to transition from college to the pros. So let's be patient with our babies like Jamin Davis, especially given the draft capital and the opportunity there in Washington. Number 24, the handsome one. Once named, I believe, the second most handsome player in the NFL by our beloved wives. Matt Milano of the Buffalo Bills, 86 total tackles, 15 TFLs, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 5 pass breakups. Graded at a 67 overall, 92% of snaps, 16 games played, and scored pretty well throughout the entire season, 12.1 points per game, 11.76 in his last 5 games. Bobo, you famously love Milano cookies. Do you still love Milano for Dynasty?
I'm kind of tired of Matt Milano, to be honest with you. I feel like he's a little bit boom bust. His first 3 games last year, 12 points, 22 points, 19 points. His next 3 games, 1 point, he didn't play in Kansas City, and then 2 points. I don't know.
He got banged up in a few of those games.
Well, I agree. But, man, even late towards the season, 5 points, 4 points, 7 points, 11 points when you're really counting for him. I don't know. Milano is somebody I'm not really super comfortable as my LB2 anymore. I think Milano's really, he's that LB3 range at this point for me. I know there was a couple years there where I was locked and loaded for Milano at LB2, but I don't know. I'm just kind of, the shine is fading off a little bit.
Eddie, are you comfortable with Milano as your LB2?
I mean, I would prefer a better LB2. I like him as my LB3.
Okay, so that's where we're seeing him right now. Interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's right. He's at the high end.
Do you have to draft him as an LB2?
No,
or can you get him as an LB3?
And that's why you like Milano. I think you're still going to see his counterpart Tremaine Edmonds go ahead of him. I still like Matt Milano more. Let's pull up some of his stuff here.
Let's pull up some of his pull on his stuff, Addy. What you got for us?
So we did the consistency stuff where we were kind of seeing like
good stuff by Addy.
How many splash games they've had. And Mr. Matt Milano here he had 7 games under 10 points. He had 9 games over 10 points. He had 3 games over 20 points. He never hit 30. But I mean, I don't mind that. You know, for a guy you're getting, this is always someone you're drafting like around like LB 25 to LB 35. Sometimes even later. People always sleep on Milano. That's good production for a guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that, and I still think he's the best linebacker there in Buffalo. I think Tremaine Edmonds moves on next year. They did give Matt Milano like a 4-year deal, I believe, last year.
Yeah, he's going to be there.
Million.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's probably outs on that contract, but still, I think he is the best linebacker there. And yeah, I'm still okay with. He reminds me of like a Eric Kendricks type of guy, where I think he'll age well. I mean, he's on a good defense. Yeah, I like Matt Milano.
Yeah, they have an out.
I'm talking about him. I'm going to maybe move him up. He's probably my number 6 now.
Okay, he's super hot. We know that. They do have an out after this year, so they can save about $5 million if they move on from him in 2023. So he'll be there for this year, though, for sure, because they actually be a negative $8 million hit. So there's no reason to cut him this season. We know he's secure there, but
surely they wouldn't.
I don't think they're not moving on from both guys. I don't think in the same offseason.
I mean, maybe that would be something.
Third round pick, Terrell Bernard, 89th pick overall. So you're probably looking at the Terrell Edmonds
replacement
in 2023. Then.
I agree. Yep. Bobo, you want to read this next one here for us? Number 23 on the list?
Sure. Patrick Quay, 98 total tackles in 2021, 10 TFL, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 1 pass breakup, and 2 sacks. Quay was not PFF's favorite with 43.5% overall grade, a 54% run defense grade, a 69% tackle grade, 69% pass rush grade, and a 35.1% grade.
He was about as bad as you could be on the
coverage.
PFF grades.
Yeah. He did have a 76% snap count. I think he played the most amount of snaps on the Baltimore Ravens aside from Chuck Clark last year. He did play all 17 games and averaged 9.8 points per game.
How you feeling about Queen, Bobo?
I like Queen. I'm kind of coming back around on him at least for this year because there's nobody else there. I'm not a believer in the other dude that's there, Malik Harrison.
But Josh Bynes.
Josh Bynes is nobody. I think the real person to be worried about is named Kyle Hamilton and how much Kyle Hamilton actually plays in the box. But I do love
Chuck Clark. That's Chuck Clark's job. Chuck Clark's going to be the guy getting all the snaps there.
Listen here, that's Chuck Clark's job if I've ever seen it. Imagine if that guy actually had to do the entire podcast. Who was it saying we should do an entire podcast of just voices? Can you imagine?
We should.
Our
could do
vocal
that.
cords would be
Everyone let us know if you want us to do that.
Or
Sound off in the
engulfed
comments.
in flames.
Who would you do it if you had to do it for like 60 minutes?
I would do an impression of Adam's impression. I would
Okay.
just do my riff on what he's doing.
Who would you do? What guy would you do?
You'd
I
rotate.
would do an impression of Josh doing an impression of me.
We were all just impersonating each other.
And I would do John Macri.
John Macri, eh? Bacon? Ew, gross. Get that away from me.
Stressed out.
Stressed out. All right, so Patrick Queen. I mean, okay.
His last name's Queen, right? I mean, we've been over this.
But he's the king of queens.
Oh, Bob.
Bob. Oh, Bob. I don't know, man. Talk about a guy I want as like my LB3.
Yeah.
But I mean, in Dynasty,
That-
can you get the discount on this dude?
Probably. I think a lot of people are out.
100%.
I will say, I did notice one of our favorites, Johnny the Greek, was drafting quite a bit of Patrick Queen.
That he
So
was.
He feels okay about Patrick Queen.
I feel okay about Patrick Queen.
There's one of the voices. I'm curious if you guys were, probably not wanting to go acquire Patrick Queen, but let's say somebody was. Like,
do.
I'm a Queen believer. I want to go get this guy. What are you paying? What's a fair price?
We got to understand right now, it is a bad time to be wanting picks, okay? And for instance, I know on our trade value chart, I have someone like Danielle Hunter. He's worth a second and a third value-wise for me. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to get him for a second right now.
Yeah.
Those picks are worth a lot.
Yeah.
And these prospects are just too damn sexy. There's a chance that I get Kyle Hamilton there. I could get maybe Aiden Hutchinson. I could get someone really.
So
Devin
you're
Lloyd.
talking about 2022 picks.
Right. You're not getting.
Yeah.
You're not getting multiple picks for any of these kind of elite IDP guys.
And timing wise, if your draft is over, 23 picks are worthless right now. I mean, I know they're not worthless, but they're worth the least that they ever will be worth right now.
2023.
They're
Yes.
So
yeah.
time to acquire them.
Yeah, exactly. But what you were saying, I got to give a little love to Charlie, even though I don't think he's actually answered the trade. I think I had to withdraw it. Sorry, Charlie. I just completely
just outed
called
him.
you out.
Just dox them online.
And it might have been one to where I actually did a deal, and I think that was the case. It didn't end up going through because of whoever I offered. But I think I tried to acquire Queen for a third or a fourth, maybe.
I think I would give.
In this draft or like a future.
I think it was a 23 third, which is probably too much.
I probably would give a fourth. I don't know that I want to give a third for Queen.
There'll be a prospect. But that's the thing. I mean, you're betting on Patrick Queen having a down year. If Patrick Queen bounces back and puts up 120 tackles,
Yeah.
well, suddenly he's worth more than a third.
It also is super dependent on how people treat draft picks. If Josh gets a draft pick, it's probably going to be there this time next year. If I get a draft pick, there's no way in hell it's going to be there this time next week.
It probably's gone before the email comes through from RSO that a
Exactly.
trade has been, gone through in our league.
I guess my thing for Pat Queen is I think he's like 22 years old.
There you go.
And we just got done talking about how hard it is to learn NFL defenses. Now, I do know he's been horrible in the missed tackle department. So there is that. But
he got benched for Josh Bynes last year, y'all. Like, that's.
Well, Josh Brown just like 32. Patrick Queen again 22.8. Like there's rookies that came out that are older than that.
there's just not a ton of these 22-year-old linebackers that you're just like, damn, that's who I want.
For the Baltimore Ravens.
And even Micah Parsons last year, Micah Parsons is awesome, don't get me wrong, but all he was really asked to do was rush the passer, which is a whole lot easier than like being the green dot for the Dallas Cowboys. From a thought perspective, as far as running an actual NFL defense, they asked Pat Queen to do this his rookie year, and it was very evident that he was in over his head. I don't know. I'm not
You boys running a defense at 22, 23?
easy.
Absolutely.
Easy.
That's the best
too.
damn defense in the NFL.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it rolling here, boys, and move to Pete
I don't want to keep it
Werner.
rolling. Hey,
We're
if you're
rolling.
playing a spot on the defense, what are you playing, Addy?
I'm probably going to be defensive tackle. I
was gonna
just
say,
love getting in those
inside.
trenches.
Definitely
I love
just
getting
plugging
dirty.
gaps.
I'm getting dirty,
What are you
baby.
playing, Josh?
I'm playing defensive tackle right next to this guy.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Trench Brothers.
Speaking of
Bros.
that, Keem Hicks.
Yes,
Him with the
how about
Bucks.
that? Beautiful.
How do they keep doing this? That's what I'm.
Can't
Where is
keep
this
getting
money?
away with this?
Yes.
Pinkman meme, right?
Yeah, Pinkman meme.
Breaking Bad, hell of a show, right?
Love TV. Definitely.
Last full show I watched.
Yeah. Was it really?
I think so.
That's great. That show
No,
went off
it's
the
not
air
true. Nathan,
like
for you.
9 years ago.
And I'm current on I Think You Should Leave 3.
Like the 3, the threequel. That's great, Addy. I'm happy for you. I watched like 45 shows concurrently, but
You are crazy.
I'm a freak. There's no doubt about it.
Speaking of D tackles, is Aaron Donald done?
Boys, I don't know. They said, you heard it from his mouth, got to get the contract figured out or I'm happy to walk away.
I thought he said that he had to run it back. I thought I saw that lately.
The end of the quote said they've got to get the contract worked out. If it's not worked out, I'm at peace walking away.
So is this a 1 year? So this definitely should have started affecting his dynasty rankings.
But the reason why I don't think he's done is because, okay, the Rams don't get a deal done with Aaron Donald and he decides to retire. How many other freaking teams go to him and they're like, dude, how much do you want?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. The Rams still have his rights.
But I guess
They would have to trade for him.
I guess that's true.
Even though he wants a new deal.
We see that a lot, though.
Yeah.
They would never trade Aaron Donald.
They could get a lot, though, still.
They will
if he was willing to go
absolutely
somewhere else.
wait about 2 weeks. I think this deal will be done.
Is Donald more or less important to the Rams Super Bowl than Matt Stafford?
I would say he's
Less.
less because when Matt Stafford came in, they won the Super Bowl. And Aaron Donald's been there for what, 8
What
seven,
about
eight
last
seasons?
year, though? What about last year, though?
But Aaron Donald did have some of the biggest moments in that game.
Of course, they don't win the Super
The
Bowl without
back-to-back
Donald,
games, yeah.
but they haven't won the Super Bowl without Stafford. So
Yeah.
Is he
Stafford was the missing piece.
Quarterback ultimately. Yeah. Stafford was a baller.
That no look throw, bro, like that's an
That was
all
pretty
timer.
cool.
You got to just have an NFT of that, Bobo.
And he did it with just Cup, really.
Oh, yeah. Ben Skoranek started a Super Bowl.
Odell really wasn't himself, but towards ACL early on,
Gosh, Odell was so good.
he was really coming on.
Oh,
It's a
he was
shame.
he was back there. Late playoffs. That was like
Yeah, he was looking
old
like
Odell.
himself. Yep.
And that was not like Cleveland Odell. That wasn't normal Odell. Like this was refreshed New York Giants.
this was fresh
Eli
Dookie on the
Odell.
chest, Odell.
Yeah.
Feeling
there
good.
ain't nothing like
Steaming.
that rookie year Odell Beckham, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone go back. I'll always do that from time to time. I'll just go look at that log from that. I think it was like what 20.
Bet you do.
2016.
Odell looks at it as well.
Boy, he was. There's no one that's even been close to his rookie year.
Those
It was
nubbies.
12 games, and it was just madness.
Yeah.
Madness. Absolute madness.
And you picked him up on waivers.
You know what else
You
is
did.
madness,
He
Addy?
carried you to a title in
You
VIP.
damn right.
He won.
Pete
he won a
Werner
few.
at the 22nd
We're not done
ranked
with Odell Beckham.
Dynasty
More
linebacker.
OBJ talk, Josh.
We're at
Remember that
42
catch? Remember that catch?
minutes
Y'all
in.
remember it?
Pete
That was on
Werner.
Sunday Night Football.
62 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 79.9 overall grade on 40% of snaps, 15 games played, 6 points per game with 4.7 in his last 3 games. Addy, what's the story with Werner? Is this a situation where the veteran is going to crowd out this guy for much longer, or is it about to be the Pete Werner show?
Well, Demario Davis is like 34. He is certainly moving on.
He's truly up there
Yeah.
amongst these old linebackers.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw Malcolm Jenkins retire. I mean, this next wave is coming with Demario Davis and Cameron Jordan. Hopefully, they trade him. That's what all these teams should be doing. That I'm sure they're trying, but that's all these vets should be on the block. But yeah, I mean, even so, Pete Werner was pretty damn good last year when he got a chance. And I think they can run both those guys out together again this year. But either way, I mean, what was it? He had like 3 games of 10-plus tackles.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, again, he wasn't out there a lot, right? What was his snap share?
It was 40%.
So the fact that when he gets an opportunity, he's soaking up tackles like that, we love to see that. I mean, that could easily be – just think what Demario Davis is. I mean, he could be easily that. And he's 23? Yeah, 23.
Young as hell, Bobo.
He does have second-round draft capital. I mean,
I like it. I like it a lot, especially with the maybe the end coming for Demario Davis here soon.
Well, they should trade everybody. Michael Thomas.
yeah,
Kamara.
definitely.
The Saints are the opposite of that. They really think they're going for it.
They were saying Winston's already like limping. They got a pretty substantial limp right now.
Just bring Ian Book back in there.
Who?
Ian Book.
In book?
Ian Book. Do you not remember Ian Book?
Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, he started
Not-
against the Cowboys, I think.
Not hidden.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Saints fans, for
Thought
bringing
you were
up
talking
that.
about one of your sci-fi
that memory.
movies or something.
So number
You write another
21.
book or something?
Sorry,
What are you
Ian.
getting
I am. It's coming out maybe next year. We'll see. Addy,
really?
Yes, I am
Is
working
this
on
a plug?
This is a plug. Yes, go pre-order it. It's not even on Amazon yet. Addy, I am curious, when you put these ranks together, ranking someone like a Nakobe Dean here at 21 above a Pete Werner, what goes into that decision? Because we have evidence with Werner of what he can do in the NFL. We don't have that with Dean. So what is it when this is kind of a larger conversation, not just about these two guys in particular, but with the unproven commodity, what is it about that type of player that makes you rank them higher than a Pete Werner type?
Just everyone was on this guy, quite a bit. Everyone that we respect, I think it was like Nakobe Dean is like the second linebacker in this class, pretty much.
That's right.
It was Lloyd and then Dean, and really he fell for medicals. Philadelphia is one of those teams that's everyone always loves the GM, thinks he's one of the smartest guys in the league. So this is like a classic. Was Howie Roseman?
Howie Roseman, that's right.
It's like a classic Roseman pick. So yeah, I mean, I like him. He was great at Georgia. We're projecting the depth chart there. I mean, it's Kaiser White on a 1-year deal. TJ Edwards, who's probably going to be moving on after this year. I mean, it's going to be Dean's for the taking after this year, I would imagine. And maybe he even gets worked in this year because, again, neither one of those guys are really that big of a deal.
All right, Bobo, I want to know, in your mind here, Addy has Nakobe Dean at 21 and Troy Andersen of the Atlanta Falcons at number 20. So do you want Nakobe Dean or Troy Andersen for your dynasty squad?
Man,
That's a tough one to sort out. I think I want Dean.
gosh, that's really hard.
But if you bake in what you're going to get probably year one from these guys, I think you have to tip the cap towards Troy Andersen. Crowded situation, but if Deion Jones is moved, which I think
Gosh, that's
is
hard.
imminent,
I don't know what I would do.
that clears the
And
lane.
remember, Troy Andersen has like one of the all-time RAS scores. It's like
Dude's a
literally
freak.
like a 10.
Yeah.
And it's clearing out for him too. We know about Deion Jones.
Yeah.
It's Micah Walker and Rashaan Evans.
The competition
and
is
Nick
a
Wick.
lot less stiff there. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's a bad team.
And
the
those
second-round pick for Troy Andersen.
and Foyesade Oluokun was the LB1 last year. And Deion Jones was a fine linebacker as well. So
Yep.
you're going to get production out of Troy Andersen probably sooner than Nakobe Dean, I would think. But man, that's tough because Dean really doesn't have a whole lot of, he doesn't have a crowded room to really, part his way through either. I mean, all you got is Kaiser White, and there's a lot of, schemes where Dean and White can run out together. Don't worry about TJ Edwards. He could be a nobody real fast, even like preseason fast. Yeah, Troy Andersen, if you're not on him now, you better hurry because the time is coming.
If he's in the third round of any of your rookie drafts, you have to pick him up.
Scoop him up. Yeah, make it happen, folks. So we have.
So what did you say, Andersen?
I probably lean Nakobe Dean for dynasty,
See,
but it's very close.
What about redraft?
Definitely Troy Andersen. I think Andersen has more production year one because again, I think the injury still concerns me with Nakobe Dean.
That's what separates it for me.
Yeah,
it's the injury. Troy Andersen. I mean, Troy Andersen has a better capital. Doesn't have the injury concerns.
If
Right.
Deion
Got
Jones is
athleticism.
moved, that's a depth chart that is a lot softer to get through.
But
in my
he's
opinion.
moving.
Yeah.
He's moving. If not this year, next year.
And about Micah Walker, he's just a guy.
I think he is too.
I don't think he's great.
Yeah, you look at who's there. So let's say I fully believe Deion Jones will be gone. So then the competition, Rashaan Evans, Micah Walker
Journeyman.
versus Kaiser White and TJ Edwards. That is a much clearer path for Troy Andersen for 2022. Dynasty probably still like Dean a little better, but for this year, give me Troy Andersen.
Gosh, and D'Angelo Malone's there, but that line's still going to be really bad also.
Ebiketti's there.
Grady Jarrett.
Ebiketti's another guy that's going late in drafts. He was in the 5th round of one of those leagues I was in today.
Who are the Falcons safeties? Richie Grant.
They still got.
I mean, Richie Grant was like a slot cornerback.
Was he?
Yeah, he was playing more
Did they
corner.
bring back Eric Harris? I don't even know, dude.
That team's a mess.
Wow.
They're bad.
That team is a mess. Not a mess. Cole Holcomb at 19 and his beautiful mullet. So, Addy, let me ask you this here. 142 total tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 INTs, a sack, all sorts of stats. Cole Holcomb played 99% snaps, 16 games, 14.1 points per game and 16.42 points per game. All Cole Holcomb does is score points. So let me ask you this. Is there any world in which both are healthy? Let's say both play an equal complement of snaps. Is there any world in which Jamin Davis outscores Cole Holcomb in 2022?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
I just feel like, barring injury,
Cole Holcomb's like elite on a
he's one of the
game
top
basis.
scoring linebackers. Look at this. 14 points per game on the season and 16.42 his last 5 games.
25 years old.
That's good. Like, are we just underrating this guy?
Yeah, probably
a little
so.
bit.
I think everyone is. I mean, he's always going to be a value in pretty much all the drafts. He never gets overdrafted, right? I mean, him get overdrafted. Maybe in the league with Nico or something.
Yeah, 11 of 18 games, over double-digit points. He can score in the high 20s. Where is Cole Holcomb going in these dynasty startups? Is he?
He's probably like now. His ADP definitely has bumped up, but it's still like linebacker 15 to like 20. Say so. I mean, still you
could potentially get him at a value.
Yeah, that's linebacker 2 prices, and you're gonna have someone that on a per game basis averages LB1 numbers.
Who else was there with him last year?
Didn't they have like Bostic for a second?
That's right.
And it was
Bostic.
That's someone else. But I think the move with Holcomb is to enjoy this year and then sell that.
Yep. Sell it. All right. Another linebacker that gets completely overlooked. I know I grabbed him late in one of our best balls that we did. Is Shaq Thompson of the Carolina Panthers. 104 total tackles, 9 TFLs, 2 INTs, 2 sacks, 5 pass breakups on 93% of snaps. Played 14 games, scored 14.1 points per game, 9.65 points per game in his last 5 games. Bobo, what are our expectations for Shaq Thompson? And is this a guy that you feel comfortable and confident having as your LB2?
Absolutely, man. I really like Shaq Thompson. I think he kind of gets a bad rap there just because he's kind of been a little bit up and down over his career. But especially those PFF numbers, PFF numbers as far as an LB2 is concerned are really solid. Are you getting LB1 status out of Shaq Thompson? I don't think so. But as far as a solid LB2, I think he's fine. He does have a big play ability from time to time. You're going to see the snap count. Corey Littleton is nobody at this point in his career. Jeremy Chin is going to do what Jeremy Chin's going to do, but he's not going to take a bunch of tackles away from Shaq Thompson. I feel like you're looking at another LB18 probably for Shaq Thompson. I couldn't peg that any better. And I feel like Thompson in drafts is either one end of the spectrum or the other. I feel like he's either drafted as the LB10 or people forget him and he's the LB25. There's like no in between. There's no.
He gets forgotten a lot.
Absolutely.
He's a guy. He's a guy you can
forgotten.
grab at value, and
He's always that guy that gets drafted, and it's always like, oh man.
Yeah, totally forgot about him. Here's the funny part: we just raved about Cole Holcomb and his points per game average, 14.1. Shaq Thompson, 14.1. These guys scored the exact same, and maybe even would have been a little better had Thompson not missed 3 games in the middle of the stretch there. So I'm curious, Addy, with the age for Holcomb and the same kind of points per game, they're both the LB1s for their teams. Why go Shaq Thompson over Cole Holcomb?
I just trust Thompson a little more. I think he's a better player. I thought he was much improved last year.
Does it feel like there's maybe a trapdoor under Holcomb a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think you should sell him. I mean, I don't know that he's that good. He's just a guy that's racking up a bunch of tackles. We've talked over and over how that doesn't equal good. I mean, even the grades are also showing that to us. He's in the 50s, Good time to get out. I mean, I like Holcomb fine. But if you're going to be able to like get top dollar now, get it.
Get it. Go get it. Get you a beer. Get you a healthy pour as
yes,
well.
Sir. Damn good pour. You already missed the head of it, but all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Give us a little
One more
love.
head. Josh is 2 minutes late.
I'm sorry, Bobby was in the middle of a point. I could not cut away.
You could have cut away. You should have cut away. Bobby would have understood.
Yeah, that's
it was one hell of a pour, was it not,
deeply
Bob?
regret.
Had a great head on it.
Thank you.
17, Blake Martinez, of course, missed most of the season, tearing his ACL early in week 3. He had 12.12 points per game in his 2 full games played. Addy, this feels like a situation where a lot of Blake Martinez's dynasty value, at least in my mind, is going to be front-loaded into these next couple years.
Yeah, I think that's, with Shaq Thompson kind of too. I mean, a lot of these guys that are, getting up there in the 28, 29 that are ranked as high, like this is the time to sell them. Everyone else is still going to value them. They're still going to score very highly. People are going to convince themselves that they can last another 3-4 years, and maybe they can, but sell it. You got to sell it if you can.
Sell it, Bobo.
I've got a waiver set right now, boys, and I'm going to tell you about it.
Oh, tell us.
It's on RSO, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it. I'm actually going to get Micah McFadden tonight.
Oh, nice.
Good pickup.
That's a great pickup.
I don't know about Martinez. I hope it's fine. Coming off of ACL, what is Martinez now? 28, 29. LB17 is fine risk-wise. In a draft, are you okay drafting him as the LB17? He plays like a LB1, really. There's probably a little bit of built-in.
I don't mind taking him as my LB17 because I think he can give you LB1 numbers.
I don't know.
For how many years? We'll see.
Blake Martinez or Shaq Thompson for 2022?
Boy, that's probably Shaq, just because. I mean,
one of them's coming. Yeah, one of them.
One of them's coming off the ACL, so that does concern me. But if we're living in an optimistic world where we think he'll recover and be fine, like for instance, if we saw tomorrow that Blake Martinez was 100% cleared, had no issues with the ACL recovery, Blake Martinez is the answer for me.
I just think that New York defense is probably projecting to the future. You've got two good edges now. You've got some younger interior guys. Maybe they look to move on from Martinez here in the next year.
They're going to slowly tear it down. You don't let go of James Bradbury if you're not slowly rebuilding this team from the ground up.
Your boy Xavier McKinney's there. They did let the older Jabril Peppers go.
Bradbury's gone. Logan Ryan is gone. So it's a matter of time. But I think happen for this year.
But also Blake could land somewhere else. This is a guy that's he's been to multiple Pro Bowls. Mm-hmm. That stuff carries weight. Still in the NFL. I think he can still land around and be, productive for IDP.
Were these his PFF grades from last year?
I'm assuming it was his PFF grades from the games that he actually played.
Oh, so he did play 3 games last year. I just saw where he tore his ACL.
So another good, that he should be fully recovered since it was early in the season.
Yeah, that is true.
He should be fine. Baba, why don't you read this next one for us?
Yeah, I want to hear y'all's opinion on this. I know, Josh, you kind of have a pretty firm opinion here on Quay Walker, LB16 for Adam. 65 total tackles, 5.5 TFL, 1.5 sacks, and 3 pass breakups to go with 1 fumble recovery. He was drafted in the first round, 22nd overall there by the Green Bay Packers. He was the first linebacker taken off of the board.
So a little self-tout here. Go back and listen to the mailbag episode that Robert Mays did of the Athletic Football Show with Deontay Lee. They answered my question in the mailbag. It was pretty cool. This is my favorite football podcast. That was a nice little...
Deontay Lee's a baller, too.
Deontay Lee is awesome.
Formerly of PFF, I believe.
Yes, they had the Too High podcast and now is working full-time with the Athletic. So I asked him, why Quay Walker? Everything we heard was that Devin Lloyd was the number 1 linebacker for most people. Nakobe Dean, probably number 2 if you looked at like a consensus kind of draft guru kind of rankings. And then Quay Walker was like a nice sort of later target. And then he goes first to the Green Bay Packers at 22nd overall. So my question was why? And he basically said, I think there was a mismatch between the way that NFL evaluators saw Quay Walker and how the public saw Quay Walker, and that GMs and scouts had a much different handle on what Quay Walker could do for your team. And he said people weren't as convinced on Devin Lloyd. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason. And what he allows the Packers to do on defense is something that they weren't quite sure they were getting with Devin Lloyd. So go back and listen to the answer. Deontay does a much better job of answering this question. But
I love that. And that's why you should play IDP. The fact that you can think about stuff like that and ask those type of questions. I mean, play offense don't even know who Devin Lloyd is, probably. Or they're just
or they don't care.
They don't care.
Which is a shame because you're just missing out on like a whole half of the league with a whole bunch of ballers.
Yeah, because there's a lot of storylines when you bring in IDP. A lot of interesting things that happen. Mm-hmm. Play IDP.
So here's the thing.
Buy draft kit.
Yes, buy the IDP Draft Kit, the IDPDraftKit.com. Quay Walker, we'd love for Dynasty. Addy, are you going down this road for redraft? Are you trusting Quay Walker?
Not redraft. It's gonna be too expensive probably. Just because he was a first round pick, people will be excited. But again, we know that Green Bay's doesn't typically use 2 linebackers. But I do think Quay Walker, and like everything they're saying, seems like that he's gonna buck the trend for him. I'd be surprised if it's early on year 1, but I do see that happening. I mean, but even if not, I mean, are we going to be surprised if Devin Campbell falls off a cliff in a year?
No.
No.
We hope not.
I mean, it's going to be Quay Walker season at some point. He's going to be locked in there as their linebacker 1. It's just a matter of time. We liked him pre-draft. The landing spot was weird, but we know how quickly that stuff can change.
That's right, Bobo. I love him for Dynasty. May grab him late in redraft.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I don't know that that's necessarily the best strategy because, like Addy said, and I agree, I don't think we're going to see it that early with Quay Walker.
That's a fun defense, though.
It's maybe one of the best defenses in the league.
Rashawn Gary's coming on. Kenny Clark's playing well. Savage and Amos there for with Jair Alexander in the
Russell Douglas,
Eric Stokes.
Yeah, Eric Stokes.
Secondary's awesome.
That's no weaknesses across that entire defense.
I would not be super surprised to see Quay Walker splash some this year. Now, it probably is going to be difficult to get week in and week out production from him, but I could see the defensive staff there having some fun with him because just like Josh and us were talking about pre-episode, there's a lot of people in the building that are saying that Quay's going to play. It's going to change the way that defense
what
plays.
the Packers can do.
That's fun, man. Whenever you get that type of guy, it should make it a little bit more difficult to go to bed at night for the Vikings and the Lions and the Cowboys, or not Cowboys, the Bears. Sorry,
The Cowboys are in there as well.
Cowboys should always have a hard time going to sleep.
But if he delivers, I mean, it's going to be harder, to put that back in the bottle.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put that genie back in the bottle if the dude is making like splash plays and
Tough to do.
first few weeks of the season? I don't know. We'll see. I think if we weren't coming off the sting of the Zaven Collins betrayal, like if that whole situation had not happened.
But the difference in those situations is Zaven Collins was being drafted in the 2nd round, like right after Micah Parsons. Quay Walker has been a value in every draft. I've seen him go in the 2nd round in some drafts. That's always surprising. It's usually people that don't know IDP that are taking him.
Yeah,
They're just looking at capital. But typically, for the most part, he's been in the 3rd round in every league I've done.
That's a nice value.
Yeah.
because everybody still sees Devondre Campbell stats for 2021. They're like, God, this guy's not going to play.
This
very
guy's-
well."
Well, I mean,
yeah,
that's
not getting on the field.
that was IDP Twitter. Everyone talked about how much they hated it. How's he going to fit in? How's he going to get on the field? I mean,
Perfect
He
example.
will.
it'll change.
It will happen. It's just a matter of when.
The rich get richer. Devondre Campbell was great last year. He was a revelation for IDP, maybe the revelation. It's just fun to add Quay Walker to that room. That's going to be a fun defense this year.
What about Isaiah Simmons, boys?
Let me read his stats so y'all can talk about him because I obviously have some firm opinions. But 105 total tackles, 4 TFL, 1 interception, 1.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 7 pass breakups. 49.7 overall PFF
The
grade.
grades were rough, Bobo.
40 run defense grade, 61% tackle grade, 66% pass rush, and 56% coverage grade. 92% snap counts. He played all 17 games, and he averaged 11.3 points per game. Josh, what's your Isaiah Simmons temperature?
I love him as an LB2, and I think that's where we need to start seeing Isaiah Simmons is he's a really solid LB2 with some LB1 upside, but I don't know that we're ever going to get to this top 5 linebacker kind of status with Isaiah Simmons that we had hoped for, and that's okay. We need linebacker 2s for our rosters, and Isaiah Simmons fits that mold pretty perfectly. And he's 23 years old. So
Yeah.
could he take a step? Could he move into that upper echelon? Maybe. But I think the betting odds are that this guy's just a really solid LB2.
Yeah, we need to see him stuff that sheet more, man. We need to see more of the bigger plays. He was one of those guys we thought that maybe we could line up on the line a lot, and get some sacks and stuff, rush the passer, play him at safety and stuff. He hasn't really been as versatile as we thought, but he's been in that linebacker role where he's been productive. He has.
Yeah.
I mean, 11.3. That's not nothing. It is his 2nd year. He's 23. That's another important stat. I mean, there's a world where he could be really good this year. But yeah, I mean the hype. He hasn't lived up to the hype. Of course, I was hyping him up hard last year. Didn't work out, but doesn't mean it can't. I mean it does.
Doesn't mean he's a bust.
I mean,
Just because he's top
11.3,
5, the distance between top 5 and 15th overall here.
and he's still
We'll
gonna
take that.
He's still gonna have a long leash. He was a high first round pick, right?
Very
Wasn't
high.
he like in the top?
7, I think.
Yeah. So they're gonna continue to let him work through some stuff out there, and rightfully so. They'd be stupid to give up on someone like that. Again, I mean, athletically, there's not many people close to this guy.
Yeah, 8th overall.
Um,
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy. But yeah, I think him and Zaven Collins, that's going to be potentially a lot of fun. I feel good about Zaven.
We're kind of down
good
on
about Isaiah, too.
We're kind of down on both these guys just because Isaiah Simmons hasn't lived up to the hype and Zaven completely let you down last year. But what if these guys are both awesome and suddenly
It could
people are
happen.
talking up the Cardinals linebackers as the best duo in the league?
The problem is, though, they are still pretty high in drafts. There's not really much of a value.
There's
a
no
discount.
discount,
No
yeah.
discount at all.
So
They're much different than like the Pat Queens and the Kenneth Murrays.
the shine is not off those guys yet.
Simmons
There's
was
still hope.
Simmons was he was good last year. I don't mean like elite. He wasn't great, but for his second year in the league to average 11.3 points per game, and to play behind Jordan Hicks. I mean, really, Hicks was the linebacker that you wanted there. I think that the Cardinals coaching staff really misused Simmons a lot last year. He was oddly lined up in a bunch of outside linebacker type snaps, and would kind of rush the quarterback late. I don't know. I think Simmons is still coming around. I think the coaching staff is gonna slowly learn how to use him. It is interesting though. I don't want to bleed into what we're going to talk about here soon, but it's interesting here the difference between Simmons and Collins for Adam, as Adam's beers roll around on the table. I don't know. I still probably want Simmons more than Zaven this year. I know Adam has his firm stance on Zaven. Josh, what's your mentality here?
I mean, Simmons is definitely the safer pick because we've seen it. We're still projecting with Collins, but the massive pass rushing upside is what appeals to me about Zaven Collins. It's like if that hits, that's potentially top 5 with Zaven Collins. And I
Zaven
just don't think
seems-
you're getting that with Simmons.
Zaven also seems like just a better tackler and someone that's going to give you more tackles. So I think like the weekly consistency will be there too.
Simmons is a little drippy. That definitely gets to me some.
He's very drippy.
Yeah. Long,
Zaven Collins
lanky.
doesn't have a lot of drip really.
Is Zaven a single number like Simmons is 9?
He
I
was
think?
25.
Really?
Which
Got
is
it. We got
awful.
to get that fixed. That's
Yeah.
like Sky. What is it?
Sky Moore.
Sky
That's really
Moore is
bad.
number 24.
That's
Addy, why don't you read this next one for us here? Number 14 on the list. I think one of the most underrated linebackers of the past decade, and one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, Mr. Eric Kendricks, 143 total tackles, 8 for a loss, 2 INTs, 5 sacks. Is that right? He had 5 sacks last year.
Wow.
That's what the doc says. That's what we're going with.
A fumble recovery and 4 pass breakups. The grades, though, those were quite different.
Those were not great.
Than what we're used to.
Still pretty good in coverage.
Coverage was fine, which is we like that in linebackers. 59.9 overall PFF grade, 42.9 run defense grade, 63.5 tackle grade, 60.6 pass rush grade. Didn't do it a lot, of course, and then a 73.8 coverage grade. Although I guess he did do it a lot of that. Is
5 sacks.
5 sacks,
He was
baby.
5 for
converted a
5.
lot. 98% snap count. He played in 15 games, 15.1 points per game. That's one of the best rates in the league. Just someone, he never fails to produce when not with opportunity. And he's a reason, and the only reason he's not in the top 8 or higher is the fact he's now on the wrong side of his 30th birthday.
What is that supposed to mean?
He's in our range right now, guys.
He's old.
The body's about to start aching and creaking and cracking.
It's true. I mean, his time is coming. I mean, the PFF grades are starting to slide.
Is this a good time to sell Eric Kendricks?
I think so.
For the Asamoah there?
If you're in fantasy and if you're the Minnesota Vikings, I think it's time to get rid of him.
Wow.
Last year was the time to get rid of him.
Man, this took a sad turn, Bobo.
Yeah, it really did.
I was like, all right, Eddie, talk to us about your guy that's been great. And he's like, time to sell him. He's
it's like it just hit as soon as he said
gonna
that.
turn into dust
It's
here
true.
pretty soon.
Time to sell
Get rid of him.
Kendricks.
Thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Kicking him off the airplane mid-flight. Thank you for your service.
I did like your Asamoah pick in the XFFL, Josh.
thank you.
Last pick of the draft.
That's right, Mr. Relevant.
That's a good one.
512.
Hey, got to give a little credit to my tweet today, which actually gave credit to John Macri and Kyle B.
This is my favorite thing is when Bobby pats himself on the back for his own. Shout out my own tweet.
I tweeted it. I didn't say it. I'm
like
just giving credit to other people. But it is true that the current regime's late picks will get priority over the prior regime's late picks, a la Brian Asamoah.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's true.
So,
Sorry.
Sorry, Cameron Bynum.
Yeah. Also,
oh no.
Thanks, Bob.
also what was the
Had to
linebacker
twist
they
that
drafted
knife.
last year?
Well, they had Troy Dye at one point. Same
Troy
thing.
Dye. That's right.
Rip.
That's right. Yeah.
Who was the other one there that was getting a little bit of love?
Oh, they had the
late?
converted.
Chaz Surratt.
Yes, Surratt.
Chaz.
Chaz Surratt.
We
Converted
all knew with that
linebacker.
name it wasn't going to stick.
Yeah.
Now, what about, though, for the Cleveland Browns, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the last linebacker here on the backside of the top 12 at 13 overall, 76 total tackles, 3 TFLs, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 4 pass breakups, 76.5 overall grade, so graded pretty well across the board. 65% of snaps, 14 games played, 9.3 points per game with 7.66 points per game in his last 5 games. Bobo, what's your temperature on Jock right now?
Pretty high. You know, was he the revelation for IDP last year as far as players? Probably. I mean, we all thought Micah Parsons was going to be fun, but JOK, I don't know. Everybody kind of had him as like the LB3,
I think
LB4,
he crossed the
LB5.
biggest gap between our expectations and what he ended up being.
I mean, he was fun. For his size, everybody kind of pegged him as being a little too small, but old dude was a missile running around the field. Charlie, please don't throw him on IR. Actually, play him this year, which I know you will. But JOK,
That's the second time you've doxed Charlie in this episode. I really hope
bad,
that he
Charlie.
doesn't listen to this one.
He doesn't.
Oh, man, JOK is fun. I think he could be an LB1 this year easily.
Well, he's right there on that precipice, Addy.
Yeah, I like JOK a lot. I wonder, is he kind of like Deion Jones, where he's going to be he's going to rely on the big plays? Because he doesn't seem like one of those types that's going to be a huge tackle guy, right?
Yeah.
He's going to have to get some interceptions. He's going to have to get some sacks. And maybe he's good enough to do that. I mean, he's going to get out there and get tons of opportunities, so maybe he converts on all that stuff. But I feel like he's going to have to make up for the lack of tackles.
But, man, if you're into PFF scores, golly.
Graded pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That looks
Yep.
pretty nice.
You love to see that from a rookie, 76.5. That had to be second behind Parsons. I would
Parsons,
imagine.
yeah. Parsons graded really well. I was very surprised looking at that.
I can tell you boys in just a second.
Uh-oh, tell us, Eddie.
Okay, actually, it was Pete Werner was second. Pete Warner was
All right.
79.9
Go,
PFF
Pete.
grade. And then JOK was third with 76.5.
There you
Micah
go.
Parsons was 89.8. I guess
Dude
we'll
is
get to
just,
him.
yeah, dude is just insane.
I have a dynasty question for you.
Okay, Bobo.
JOK or Jeremy Chin?
Ooh.
That's a great question.
Give me JOK.
I think JOK as well.
I think I've said this take maybe in some chats, but I think Jeremy Chin is like the most overrated.
You've said it.
guy.
Ever since I traded him, you thought, okay, I'm free now. I'm going to let this one roll.
Truly.
Can't hurt Bob's feelings
The
anymore.
love is a little weird at this point.
Well, that's
the guy's averaged like 12 points per game for his career, and everyone's act like this is the best safety ever.
There's a reason I traded him. He was
He was
kept-
frustrating last
you
season.
kept kind of
He sucked it up to start the year.
Yeah, it's coming.
Suck it up.
It's coming.
We were getting roasted by a few folks.
Yeah. It was getting harder and harder week after week to be like, it's coming, guys. It's coming.
Yeah.
Just
and
wait.
It did, but it still didn't really come like we wanted it to.
We're going to go to break on that. When we come back, we're just so much come here as we go to the ad break. We're going to talk top 12 Dynasty linebackers. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, welcome back to the IDP show. I promise a lot less jokes and sexual innuendos at least here in the first 10 seconds of the show. Past that, I have no control about
That's
what
going to
happens.
be hard.
All right.
Rock hard.
Hold on. It was, we were 38. I don't even think, was your mic even on? If it wasn't, it somehow blew out the levels regardless. Oh, no. It was just saying that you blew out the levels saying rock hard.
So we got
great.
rock hard in there?
We got rock hard in there.
Okay,
Addy.
we can do it again if I can change it to throbbing hard.
No, that's totally
All
fine.
right.
Making a mental note of what to cut here. All right, top 12 Dynasty linebackers. If you made it this far, God bless you. We're going to talk about the top 12 dudes and some names that you recognize.
You know damn well they're on the edge of their seats, just eating it all up, all the slop. You filthy pigs.
Didn't y'all miss Addy while he was gone that week for the birth of his child? It's always good to have you back in the house, Addy.
Thank you.
Babo, we're going to kick things off with your namesake here, who just so happens to play for your favorite NFL team. Who is the number 12 guy on our list?
The number 12 guy is Ernest Jones.
This is still salty. Still salty, folks.
Just kidding. It's Bobby Wagner.
Boy, but hey, would he have been there if there was no Bobby Wags? How high would Ernest Jones have gone if no Bobby Wags?
Ernest Jones or JOK?
Probably still JOK, but Ernest Jones would have been in that
He would have been in that Pete Warner range.
yeah, I
Probably
was going to
a little ahead
say
of Pete Warner.
late teens, somewhere like hovering around
Wrong.
18.
Wrong again.
You'd be right behind Devin White, boys.
Right
You know
beside Isaiah
it.
Simmons.
Top 5.
I probably would put him Shaq Thompson range. Is he going
Sure.
before or after Shaq Thompson for y'all?
Yeah.
What about Blake Martinez? Going in front of Blake
Yes.
for Dynasty?
Dynasty? Yes.
Yep.
Going in front of Quay?
And I may have Blake Martinez too high, and I've been talking to you boys.
This is great. I always love when Addy's like, oh, crap. I should probably move this dude up or down.
We just released these ranks.
Yeah, I've been going through a lot. Been playing a lot of Park Mammoth, folks. So cut
Let
me
me
some
tell
slack.
you, it's a bar 70.
All right,
Right,
Bravo.
but
Pretty long for a par
6,200
70.
though.
Tell us about Bobby Wagner.
Long for a par
Don't
70.
get Addy started on the golf talk.
Bobby Wagner, 170 total tackles in 2021. 3 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 5 pass breakups. He had a 71.8 overall PFF grade. He played 95% of the snaps there in Seattle. He had 16 games played, and he averaged 13.2 points per game. That's surprising to me.
Yeah, 7.95 in his last 5 games. So ended the season with a bit of a whimper.
170 total tackles, yet averaged 13.2 points per game.
But you don't you don't see any big plays there. 3
Yeah.
TFLs, 1 INT, and 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. I mean, not really a lot happening in the big play department.
He scored 14 points one game and 12 points the other game, and then 13 points every other game.
You love him if you're in a tackle-heavy league. This
Yeah,
is probably
absolutely.
an LB1 if you're in a tackle-heavy league.
Gosh.
That's not the type of league that we play in, so Wagner doesn't end up as high in the points per game.
I just can't wait to see what Los Angeles is going to do, because exactly like what Adam has kind of brought up, and I'm not going to try to put Ernest Jones in the Quay Walker category, but there is the thought of, okay, if you let Quay Walker out and he's this genie that's out of the bottle, you can't put him back in. I think of Ernest Jones in the same light. I mean, Ernest Jones is an above average NFL player, and he's good for that defense.
Gave him moments and when it mattered.
That's right.
Absolutely. Big plays, down the stretch, and Ernest Jones is a big part of the Super Bowl. You're not going to be able to completely put that away, regardless of however many snaps PFF Macri says that the Los Angeles Rams only play 1 linebacker. I don't know. I don't have much Wagner, to be honest with you, because you've got to draft him here, and I think there's probably a bigger percentage than not that he's not a linebacker 1 this year.
Oh, see, I'm the complete opposite. I've said it
Wow.
on Johnny's pod. I think it was on his pod that I think Bobby Wagner could be the LB1
Yeah,
this season.
I don't disagree.
There's not a lot of linebackers I have more confidence in being top 5 than Bobby Wagner. Situation pretty similar, honestly. You could even say maybe it's an upgrade.
The problem is, though, the extra stats, the sacks and the
Yes.
interceptions that Darius Leonard and Devin White and Micah Parsons are all going to get.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, as far as if you're looking for someone that has a chance at 190, 200 tackles, I mean, my bet's probably going on Bobby Wagner.
Anytime we
I'm
miss
not
Ernest
disagreeing,
Jones,
I'm
it's
just-
just a lot of
No. I'm just listening. I'm just listening. It's just me trying to figure out.
You're
life.
excited to see what they do with Ernest. I'm excited to see what they do with B-Wags.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with everybody.
You got to be excited as a Rams fan to have this guy in your building.
And Bob, I was with you on that with as far as Wagner goes. Before that contract, I had probably Wagner as like linebacker 18, 19, starting to fade him. But once they gave him that massive deal,
Yeah,
and it's a primo spot, I mean,
that's true.
it's going to hold his. I mean, people are going to be willing to pay. Contenders are going to be willing to pay for Bobby Wagner, and they should be. I mean, there's a, look at his 4 games under 10 points, 12 over 10 points.
He's just so solid.
Yeah.
You could just count on him week to week. There's so few no-brainers to plug into your lineups, and Bobby Wagner is that.
Yeah, he's the one of like 15 guys that, just gives you that consistency every week.
Every week. May not be the big boom games, but as solid as floor as you
Yeah.
can find in IDP.
Give me 15 to 20 a week. I love that.
Thank you very much.
I haven't appreciated the Rams year enough. Won the Super Bowl, and now there's this fun stuff that you get to think about, like Allen Robinson gets to play there, and Bobby Wagner is going to be your linebacker. Like, I'm not appreciating that enough right now. I don't feel like I'm just pissed off that Ernest Jones is getting his snaps cut.
It's okay,
Because
Bob.
you're IDP teams.
My apologies.
This is where fantasy ruins your real football enjoyment. Addy, this is probably your spiciest take, I would say, thus far. Number 11 on the list here. Who do we have clocking in at number 11?
Mr. Devin Lloyd.
Okay.
So-
Mr. Chad Muma.
Maybe.
Bow, bow, bow,
Maybe.
bow, bow.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Addy.
Naomi does that. What is that from?
That's an air horn.
We do that all the time. Wow. It's an air horn.
It's an air horn.
Announcing,
Announcing, Chad
Yeah,
Muma's
that's a good move for her. I like that.
entrance
That's a
into
good
the
one.
top 12. So Devin Lloyd at 11. I think there would probably be a lot of people who would say, but Adam, he hadn't even played a snap yet. How can you put him in the top 12?
That was me. That was not me. I was the one saying that.
Yeah, that's Bobby. That's my impersonation of Bobby. There you go.
First round capital. I mean, it could very well not work out. We've seen it not work out with like Kenneth Murray, and Patrick Queen's been slow to start and stuff like that. But Devin Lloyd was definitely my favorite linebacker in the class. I thought that he just completely stood out versus everyone else. And he goes into just a primo situation. I mean, we've talked about, even though it's kind of crowded right now, I mean, there's a good chance Foyer's gone in 2 years, and it's Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma.
Yes.
I think that's the most likely scenario, actually. So, yeah, I mean, Devin Lloyd is he's in a great spot. I mean, he's everything we want in a linebacker, and he's in a great spot. I mean, you can't really ask for much better than that.
We got to give Arn some credit too here at the end with the tag that Mike Caldwell, the Jags DC, was Tampa's linebackers coach from 2019 to 2021. In that time, Devin White accumulated 15 sacks and put up an overall LB1 season in his second year.
That's the comp I want people to keep in mind.
And don't
'Cause
forget Levante David either. Sorry, Josh. Devin White's awesome. Levante David is freaking amazing. So
Yeah.
he coached both of them, not just Devin White.
And that's Levante David. If you're kind of comparing that Buccaneers linebacking room, Levante David's the steady Eddie. That's Foyesade Oluokun.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the comps, it's not is Devin Lloyd 2022's Micah Parsons. It's is Devin Lloyd his rookie season Devin White. I think that's the better comp because Devin White was a little underwhelming. We were having those conversations his rookie season. Which Devin is better? Which Devin do you want? Devin Bush or Devin White? I think keep it in the Devin family and look at maybe a Devin White type rookie season. I'm not expecting a Micah Parsons type of breakout from Devin Lloyd year one.
But I agree with you. And the thing that makes me happy about this is that if you think back about Tampa Bay in those years, 19 through 21, what did they do? They played a ton of 2 linebacker sets. Levante David and Devin White were probably both, borderline LB1s?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, that's why Devin Lloyd here is at 11. And that's why we're going to have so many conversations about Foyer and about Chad Muma. Because it's going to be probably 2 of these guys. Because that's the way that they're set up right now.
Yeah, already having them. I've already had people reach out to me about why do I have Chad Muma so high? I have him as linebacker 33. But yeah, we do think Foyer's moving on eventually. But even if he doesn't, there's a scenario where Devin Lloyd could underwhelm. And it's Muma that, is the guy that you want there over the 2.
Or Foye underwhelms, and
That's
it's Lloyd
the
and
most
Muma.
likely scenario, I think, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah,
That they just are just counting down
Because
to when they can get out of that contract.
Foye is the known commodity at this point. We don't know what Lloyd or Muma could be. Wow, man, that's fun. That's fun.
Let's give a little
I
love
like all
here.
three. I mean, we like all three.
Oh, yeah. They're all great.
They're all top. They're all. I mean, 2 of them are in the top 12, and then Muma's in the top 35. So,
That's
I
right.
mean,
As much as we want to hate and dunk on the Jags for the way they build their team, they give us some nice IDP assets at linebacker. I will say this from Evan in our group chat here. Bucky Brooks said on the Move the Sticks podcast, he's been at Jags camp, and Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen have been standing up on the outside as edge rushers in a 3-4, a lot with Foyesade Oluokun and Devin Lloyd at middle linebacker.
who was it? Walker and Josh Allen.
Josh Allen standing up on the outside as edge rushers in a 3-4 with Foye and Lloyd at middle linebacker.
That's the way it should be.
Yes, agreed. So,
Rational coaching.
Who's your Jaguars linebacker you want? Is it Lloyd?
boy,
for Dynasty.
Yeah.
for Dynasty, is it wrong to say Muma?
Oh wow.
wow.
Just because what's the
Spicy.
price you have to pay on Muma? Do I want to pay the Devin Lloyd sticker price, or do I want to just take a late flyer
That's true.
on Chad Muma?
Yeah.
Very true.
A 5th for Muma.
I mean, yeah, that's where you can get him. So I probably take Muma, because that's a big swing if you're wrong on Lloyd. And I do have confidence in Lloyd, but if I can grab the guy that's maybe the sneaky Kirk Cousins to the flashy RG3 of Devin Lloyd, I think I'd rather go that route.
Yeah. And we talk all the time about throwing darts. Muma is that cheap,
He's a great late dart.
inexpensive,
Yes.
free dart.
Took him again in another 5th round today.
But Lloyd could also be a freak.
Yeah, Lloyd could be amazing. Like if you're getting Devin White, sign me up for that. Do I want to take that in the first round? No. Absolutely. Sign me up for that all day. Devondre Campbell, Addy, you signed up for a season, at least right now, of Devondre Campbell in our main league. Why don't you tell us about what made you so interested in Mr. Campbell?
He was just great last year. 146 total tackles, 6 for loss, 2 INTs, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, and 5 pass breakups. And then the PFF grade, best of his career, 85.0 overall grade, 81.5 run defense grade, 90.6 tackle grade, 82.2 coverage grade, 97% snap count, played all 16 of the 17 games. And he averaged 15.3 points per game, 14.83 points per game over his last 5. So, love to see that.
Take a bow, Devondre Campbell. I mean, I talked about JOK crossing the biggest gap between our expectations and where he ended up. That was for rookies. Overall for IDP, Devondre Campbell.
Yeah.
Went from afterthought, like late summer afterthought roster addition, to all-pro. Like, that's incredible at this stage of his career to do that.
He had to be the biggest riser on this list.
I would love to see where he was for your dynasty ranks this time last year.
Oh, God.
Probably outside the top
Well,
40.
this time last year, he didn't have a team,
Exactly.
right? So, yeah, he would have been like probably LB 50 or whatever.
Now he's LB 10. That's pretty cool. You love to see him get rewarded for what he did last season. I think some of the guys that we're going to see placed above him, Bobo, this is probably a little bit of a hedge on age, the Quay Walker pick, and maybe a little bit of regression moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Devondre Campbell was awesome last year. I mean, as his grades show, I don't know where he ranked as far as total linebackers, overall PFF coverage grades, but it had to be pretty freaking high, 85% overall. And for me, he passed the eye test. You watch a lot of Green Bay on TV just because they're a pretty prolific team in America, but you watch Devondre Campbell play, and you're like, wow, this guy is an actual good linebacker. I don't see a ton of regression there for Devondre Campbell, at least for the next couple of years. I think this ranking here at 10 is spot on. I think you can expect another LB1 season from him.
I love it.
His 81.5 coverage grade was second among linebackers.
There
Wow.
we go. Great in coverage, great overall. You love having Devondre Campbell. I'm very comfortable with him as my LB1. Addy, I love this. Dynasty ranks we talked about in the last episode are so fun because a large part of what you're doing is banking in perceived value and projecting for the future. This is a little bit of educated guesswork, a little bit of planting your flag, a little bit of what the team is telling us with their money and their draft capital. But that's where a Zaven Collins slots in ahead of a guy like Devondre Campbell, an all-pro, a guy that was maybe one of the biggest first-year disappointments we've ever seen in IDP. But the reason we love Dynasty ranks is because you get to kind of layer in the sort of high upside projection with the solid floor guys like a Devondre Campbell and this next guy we're going to talk about, Logan Wilson at 8. I love this idea of let's not make it chalk on what happened last year. You got to bake in a little bit of what could happen into the top end of these Dynasty ranks.
Exactly right. And what has happened in Arizona? Jordan Hicks has left town, and they have a first-round linebacker that is ready to play in Zaven Collins. And, yeah, he's going to do that, and I think that he's going to have a monster year. I mean, he's a type of guy that I think could easily get 140 to 150 tackles, and then he can give us some big play stats, potentially like 5+ sacks on the year. I just think he's a really good player, and we're going to get to see that. I mean, there's not really much more you can say. You just got to wait till he does it.
Wait for Zaven season to officially get here. Let's say he plays 85% of snaps. He plays 15, 16 games, over under 5.5 sacks. I think I'm taking the over. I think I'm going 6 sacks.
That's tough. I'll go under because that's pretty nice.
Eric Kendricks, as we know, right there at that under, right?
And Mario Davis is always he's always someone that gets like around 5 sacks a year or whatever. But that's probably fair to say that he would get something like that.
So Zaven season is coming, Bobo.
Let me read you a couple numbers.
Okay, please do.
Week 3, 21. 10, 7, 21, 3, 15, 19, 14, 9, 29.5. That was in week 13 to finish. Those were Jordan Hicks fantasy numbers from week 3 to week 13. Those are now going to be divvied up between mostly Zaven Collins and probably some elevation of Isaiah Simmons. I think you all are right. I think Zaven Collins has the most upside to take over that Hicks role this year, but I also think that you can add more stats to Isaiah Simmons for this year. I think you could see a successful year for Isaiah Simmons could maybe be like 130 tackles. Now, Collins probably higher than that. I would say 140 to 150 tackles. They're going to play more football. Simmons and Hicks are going to have to be on the field. But, kind of what you've been talking about as well, Josh, over the last couple weeks, that, could we be surprised at all to look up at the end of the year and the Arizona Cardinals are just cleaning house? I think that has a lot to say with, how Collins and Simmons have kind of been misused and kind of underappreciated there in their first couple years. Our Arizona Cardinals are not a good team right now, I don't think. And I think that I don't know how that goes into effect, and I don't know how it kind of goes to how I'm valuing Collins and Simmons, but that needs to be taken into account, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that this could be a little bit of uncertainty baked into their future.
And they both could be bad.
Yeah.
The GM could be doing a bad job. I mean, they may have trouble evaluating and finding talent. I mean, and that could be something that shows itself in the next 2-3 years. But yeah, that's an unstable team right now, it seems.
Collar get paid?
Not yet.
Do you think he will?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. They'd be really dumb.
Yeah. You don't want to go.
I mean, they did do the thing they had the Josh Rosen thing for that 1 year and then immediately did the stuff with Collar the next year. So, I mean, they're heavily invested in Collar.
You can't after that embarrassment go and let this guy walk after his rookie deal.
If he did leave, though, I mean, what type of trade? I mean, he'd be traded. So, I mean, think about what Deshaun Watson brought. What does Kyler Murray bring?
I mean,
what kind of deal would you give
multiple
Kyler?
First-round picks,
5 or 6 firsts.
I mean,
in a brand new deal.
Probably, I would say 3 firsts, a couple seconds, maybe a third or a fourth or a fifth, somewhere in there.
Didn't Watson get about that? What'd they get?
I would say the Deshaun Watson deal, I would say something pretty similar for Kyler Murray.
You know what would be fun for Murray in my world? I don't know. I kind of
Rams.
No. I kind of like. I've always liked Pete Carroll a little
Ooh,
bit. I
that
think
would be
him
fun.
in Seattle would be fun.
That'd be fun, but would
Little Russell Wilson
would
2.0.
he let Kyler cook?
No, he would not.
He definitely would. Up in Seattle.
He would force feed
yeah.
Kenneth Walker and Rashad Penny 58 combined carries every game.
Josh, you know it's Rashad Penny season.
Speaking of seasons, Zaven season is coming. We know this. But a season that's already here, Bobo, is Logan Wilson season.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big fan of Logan Wilson. Talk us through. He's ranked here at number 8 on Addie's Dynasty ranks. What do we like about Logan Wilson?
Yeah, this is right where Chad Muma will be when we do this episode a year from now.
There
But
you
let's
go.
go ahead and talk about Logan Wilson. 100 total tackles, 5 TFL, 4 interceptions, 1 sack, 1 fumble forced, and 10 pass breakups. That's interesting. A 61% overall PFF grade. Nothing really of note there. That's pretty much the extent of his PFF grades. He did play 83% snap counts last year. He played 13 games, averaged 13.3 points per game. Yeah, Logan Wilson. Wowee. I have pretty firm thoughts on Logan Wilson and how he could ascend to be a top 5 linebacker for 2022. But what do you guys think, Addie?
Love Logan Wilson. I mean, he's yeah, I think he's a top 10. He's 8 here, so yeah. I mean, in the competition around him, it's Jermaine Pratt and Akeem Davis-Gaither, a guy who's had chronic knee issues. Yeah, Logan Wilson's clearly the guy. I mean, every Cincinnati broadcast, they were raving about the guy. You know, all the stuff you want to hear.
Yeah.
Leader of the defense. And he proved it. I mean, you don't like the slow start at the end of the year, but you have to remember he was coming off the injury. So we're willing to forgive that because when he's out there, man, he's one of those guys that weirdly gets a lot of interceptions and is in the right place at the right time. But it's one of those things you think is like he's going to regress, but he continues to do it and make those big plays. So he might just be one of those types that has a knack for doing it. We know that he's a type that can get 120 tackles easily. So Will's up for Logan Wilson. I love that.
We know he's a lunch pail guy. We know he's a gym rat. You
That's
know
right.
he's got a lot of hustle.
Sure.
What's
He's
all-
white.
Yeah, what are the
Sounds
other
about white.
what are the other white euphemisms we can throw out there? No, I was just looking up for our next guy here, Foyesade Oluokun at number 7. 192 total tackles, 4 TFLs, 3 INTs, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 6 pass breakups. Graded very, very poorly, 47 overall, but played 98% of snaps across 17 games played, 16.8 for the season and 18.43 in his last 5 games. I just wanted to read this little blurb here from Tripp in the IDP Draft Kit, the write-up for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Newly signed, Foyesade Oluokun is the fantasy LB1 no one talks about. His opportunities to blitz in 2022 should entrench him in the top tier.
I love that take. He was someone that I was all over in a lot of drafts. You remember a lot of those best ball drafts, I was taking him everywhere because you get him like at linebacker 10, linebacker. Like people like didn't just realize this dude was averaging like the second most points per game at linebacker.
The LB1
No one
is
cares.
suddenly going as the LB10.
And he's in.
Is it just because of the Jacksonville stink
I
and the Muma
guess.
and the Devin Lloyd picks?
I guess so, maybe. But that was before Muma was there. That was before both those guys were there. Remember these best ball drafts?
Yeah, that is true. He was
So
the
now he's probably
newly
better value.
minted like $70 million man or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
So I mean, if that's if you're sitting around in your drafts this fall and late summer, if he's there in the around linebacker 15, that's a smash.
Oh yeah.
And he may be. I mean, truly, because of the Devin Lloyd and the Chad Muma stuff. I mean, there will be people that are scared off of him.
Redraft Lloyd might go ahead of Foyer.
Yeah, I could.
You
easily
think
see
so
that
in
happen.
redraft?
Oh, people would get out of whack.
Wow.
Once the hype starts happening, it happens. I mean, I got the boner last year for Zaven Collins.
That you did. You had to put it in your sweatband constantly. It was
Sure.
really embarrassing.
It was a situation all the time.
It was. It had to be dealt with, Bobo.
Stay hard.
I was gonna say I'm not crazy about drafting Foyer if you have to grab him as the LB7 off the board in like a
Yeah.
startup or redraft. But if I can grab him later, like Addie said, if you can get him in the mid-teens, oh my God, you're smashing that button.
I don't know. 16.8 points per game is pretty fun.
I know.
Hell yeah.
That's the thing. I do worry a little bit that there is a world in which they just run Muma and Devin Lloyd, and those are the two guys. Hear me, I don't think that's going to happen, but we do have to acknowledge that possibility. So it does give me a little bit of pause that they prioritized drafting these two guys so highly after paying a guy $70 million.
Yeah.
But
that money is still too fresh.
Yes, that is a pretty nice indicator that Jacksonville likes Foyesade Oluokun. I think he's going to have opportunity. If someone is going to submarine, let me put it this way: if someone is going to submarine Foyesade Oluokun's prospects in Jacksonville, it is going to be Foyesade Oluokun. Yeah. Like, let's make that very clear. I don't think unless he royally screws this up that Muma is going to wedge himself in there and knock Oluokun off the field.
Might be Shaq Quarterman, Josh.
Shaq Quarterman. Shaq had about 8 seconds of relevancy before the draft happened.
It'd be like if they went ahead and sold Park Mammoth. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this so soon?
It ain't bearing fruit yet.
It ain't bearing fruit yet. Oh, it's bearing fruit in Addie's life, that's for sure.
Lots of fruit.
A take early on that bore a lot of fruit for us, gentlemen, is the love that we gave to Fred Warner. Sitting here.
This is why we're here probably today.
That's right. The love that we got from Fred's dad on Twitter. Really,
one-time follower.
Yeah, really propelled us
Fred
before
Senior.
he realized, I hate these guys. What am I doing here? Easy unfollow. But Fred Warner, 137 total tackles, 7 TFLs, a half a sack, a forced fumble, 3 fumble recoveries, and 10 pass breakups. Graded really well. Y'all know this. Fred Warner is one of the best real-life linebackers out there. 80.1 overall, 96% of snaps across 16 games played, 12.6 points per game on the season, but almost 15 points per game in his last 5 games. Addy, he's uber consistent, 13 of 16 games played with double-digit points scored in 2021. He had a career-high 41.8 points scored in 2019. So he gives you that ceiling. What's not to like about Fred Warner? The dude's just a stud.
Yeah, I can't understand why anyone would hate on this guy. You know what you're getting, and I feel like you're probably about to get the best of Fred Warner's career as far as IDP goes. He's entering in that Eric Kendricks, Levante David, that phase of his career where I think you can pretty much just count on him being someone that's gonna at least fit in, at worst be a linebacker 2 for you. And that's valuable. He still is 25, 26. It's crazy. He feels like he should be a lot older than that. But yeah, Fred Warner, man, we will always stand for Fred Warner.
Fred Warner or Jalen Phillips?
Boy, that's a great question. Probably Jalen Phillips. Because I think edge is a little shallower, and if you've got a guy that could potentially be a top 12 guy, top 8 guy for the next 7 to 8 seasons, I'm going to go with that.
I have Jalen Phillips as well.
Yeah, it's close, though. It's very close.
But it's the edge. It's the
edge. Edge is just a shallower, position group to find a stud. Where's Fred Warner going in drafts?
Probably that range.
Is he going around LB6?
LB10.
Yeah,
It
makes sense.
He's getting respect.
So, I think it's caught up, yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I'm probably not going to be drafting any more Fred Warner.
Probably. Because he's priced appropriately. There's no more discount.
Exactly right.
Rip to the Fred Warner discount.
It's a shame.
And rip to Fred's dad following us on Twitter. And rip to you having Jordyn Brooks on your roster, Bobo, and RSO. The number 5 Dynasty linebacker for Addy here had 184 total tackles, 10 TFLs, a sack, a fumble recovery, and 5 pass breakups. Graded pretty poorly overall, 58.4. Only 87% of snaps across 17 games played, 15.2 points per game on the season, but 17.35 in his last 5 games. It is just mind-boggling the number of tackles there were to go. Did anyone in Seattle tackle the ball carrier outside of Jordyn Brooks, who had 184 tackles, and Bobby Wagner, who had 170?
Dear goodness.
How is anyone else relevant on this roster when it comes to tackles? Bobo, you obviously moved on from Jordyn Brooks. We know this was a Kyron Williams move. You wanted to snag the Los Angeles Rams running back there. But even after...
Did get a third in 2023.
Correct.
Even moving on from Jordyn Brooks, how do we feel Is there regression coming? How do we feel about him with Bobby Wagner gone? How do we feel him with no Russell Westbrook? This team may suck. Things going to look different for Jordyn Brooks in 2022 or more of the same?
Most of the time, coming off of a season like this with Brooks, I'm on the sell high train because, man, the possibility that these guys run it back and do it again a second year in a row is not always, as absolute as people want to think that it's going to be. Like, this is fun. It's a cool podcast. We're talking about the top 24 linebackers.
This is a cool podcast.
There's going to be a Camus Grugier-Hill who's going to be the LB5 this year, and Jordyn Brooks is going to fall out, or whoever. Insert whoever's name. The linebackers are always muddy every single year. Now, where you draft them is important because that's kind of what's going to set you up, and we think these guys are going to be the most solid. But I don't know. I think of all these names, the one that could possibly fall could be Brooks. We don't know what he's going to look like without Bobby Wagner. His coverage grade was horrible. I don't know. I saw it as a sell high. I didn't get near enough back.
He was like one of the most targeted linebackers I think I saw, right?
Exactly. There was a small subset of Twitter that just basically pays attention to when Jordyn Brooks is targeted in coverage, and it's not great.
It's a weird subset of Twitter. I don't know that I want to live there.
That's all they
love
got.
Yes,
love it.
let them have it. And Eddie, it speaks to what Bobby just said. I agree with the note that Arn has in the doc here for our next guy, Devin White, here at 4 as your phone crashes to the floor, that we are now out of, with Jordyn Brooks moving to Devin White. This is that elite tier. This is that top tier of Dynasty linebackers. This is when first rounders are getting introduced when we're talking trades. Jordyn Brooks does not fit in that category. I think he fits at number 5, but I think it's a clear line of demarcation going from Jordyn Brooks to Devin White.
Yep, agree. It's clearly those 4. I mean, it's been that way for a bit now, right? Well, I guess Micah Parsons is new to it.
Yeah, he burst on the scene, but Devin White, Darius Leonard, and Roquan Smith have been the top 3 guys in some order for at least a couple seasons now.
But you're exactly right. I mean, those are the only linebackers I have that are worth a first-round pick. So, yeah, I have Jordyn Brooks being worth a second and a third, whereas Devin White I have is being worth a first and a third. Yeah, 5 games under 10 points last year, 11 over 10 points. And that was a down year for Devin White.
It was.
He went over 20 points twice. He hit 30 points once. So, yeah, he still has that ceiling that we want. And I imagine he's going to get to it more often this next year. Levante David is moving on at some point. Probably not this year. We'll see what that does for his career. I think Devin White's good. And the PFF grades aren't always kind to him.
Not always kind. It's 35.1. Stares you in the face.
That's
with
tough. That's tough.
28.2 run defense. It's like,
That's
oh
tough.
boy. But
That
a
is tough.
66 pass rush grade is pretty nice.
He can do some things. He's a playmaker. I mean, you that guy I don't think can be just explained away in grades. He makes things happen out there. Like there's no denying that. I mean, you don't just walk into 9 sacks in a year. You don't have all these huge moments in playoff games. Devin White has done that stuff.
He's like a lion hunting down a gazelle going after the passer. He's like the Three Stooges dropping back into coverage.
He has his role. I mean,
yes,
sure, he's not the best coverage guy. He clearly makes a lot of mistakes out there on defense, but I think overall you want a guy like Devin White on your defense.
Yes, absolutely.
And especially if you have other guys around him to mask kind of his deficiencies. Devin White, the hate's silly on him. I think the best is yet to come.
I think I would love to see him mic'd up when he's dropping back into coverage and it's just crap.
Yeah.
Help as he's getting running after the wrong guy or turned around backwards. Look, that's not what he's great at. Just pin his ears back and let him go after the quarterback. He's going to do that very well. 13.8 points per game, 11.65 in his last 3 games. Played 17 games, 95% of snaps. I mean, 128 total tackles and 3.5 sacks. So he did regress a bit in the sack department. But I agree with Addy. The best, I think, is yet to come. And I think the hate has gotten a little bit out of hand. Bobo, you're going to get no hate from me on number 3. Darius Leonard, as consistent as it comes. 122 total tackles, 4 TFLs, 4 INTs, 8 forced fumbles, including 3 recovered, and 8 pass breakups. This dude was a turnover creating machine. That punch out that we saw Peanut Tillman, the peanut punch, right? Darius Leonard was the master of that in 2021. Graded a 79 overall, 98% of snaps. Only missed one game last season, 14.6 points per game and 13.53 in his last 5 games. What is there to say about Darius Leonard, Bobo, that hasn't been said already? I think you can quibble with, does he belong at 1, 2, or 3? But there's no question for me he is a top 3 dynasty linebacker.
Yeah, not a ton to talk about. Darius Leonard, maniac. The only issue with Darius Leonard is just does he play like too much of a maniac? Can he stay on the field? That's been the only knock on Darius Leonard. And then, honestly, we've talked about the last couple of years, the LB that's behind Leonard has produced in that role as well, whether it's Bobby Okereke or whether it's Anthony Walker, whoever has taken over those snaps that Leonard has left. That's a pretty profitable role, honestly. But, yeah, man, Darius Leonard there at 3. I agree with this. I still want Roquan and Micah Parsons over Darius Leonard. But
and is it just because of the health?
I just like Roquan's play. I mean, I just think he's a better player. I think Darius Leonard is awesome, but he's just different than Roquan. And I think Roquan's maybe a little safer from a injury perspective. Darius will miss a game from time
I was going to say, I wanted to give
time.
the stats there. So going back to 2018, 15 games, 13 games, 14 games, 16
Which
games.
is fine. That's solid.
But when Leonard, even though he played 13 or 16 games this past year, he was hobbled in a lot of those
He was.
games.
He had an ankle injury that I think he got operated on this offseason.
Because, I mean, for someone to play 16 games, for Darius Leonard to play 16 games, I mean, those aren't the tackle numbers you would think he had.
Go back and watch the Hard Knocks season with him, and you can see what he had to do for that ankle to be able to play week in and week out.
I'm sure.
Like, it's amazing this guy put up what he did last season. So you think, could he even take a step forward if he is truly healthy for 2022? Yes, he could.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, what those guys play through and deal with and just how much that would. I mean, I get like a corn on my foot and I have a hard time playing golf.
Yeah, that's the end. I'm in bed for the next 2 weeks if anything goes wrong with my feet. I think it was a matter of that this was a guy who had just gotten paid and did not want to miss games. He had earned that contract, 3rd-round pick, come from nothing, wanted to justify and pay off what the Colts invested in him. So I think that's why you saw him play probably when a lot of guys would have shut it down. So I got nothing but love for the maniac there in Indy. Bobo, why don't you hit number 2 for us?
Roquan Smith, 163 total tackles in 2021, 12 tackles for loss, 1 INT, 3 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 1 deflected. Not deflected, but 1 defensive touchdown.
It's definitely a TD.
His PFF grades were kind of poo-poo as well. 47 overall, 30 run defense, 78 tackle, 55 pass rush, and then 68 in coverage. 95% snap count, 17 games played, 15.3 points per game. I agree. Roquan's elite. He has been for several years now. I'm drafting him exactly where Adam has him behind Micah Parsons is my LB2. And these 3 guys are the ones that you're drafting. I mean, you could quibble about whichever one you want to draft first, and that's fine. But they are the Myles Garrett, the Nick Bosa, and the TJ Watt of the linebackers to me. I don't care what order you want. Pick your flavor. Sausage pizza.
Yeah, it ain't Devin
great.
White.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe he definitely could finish as LB1, but I mean, that's a wild take.
Who are the safe? There's no safeties that.
Safeties, Derwin James,
But even still,
Jamal Adams maybe,
Jamal,
and then
Kyle
Jordan
Hamilton.
Poyer, and Kyle Hamilton,
Jordan
and then
Poyer.
Chuck Clark.
Are we going to get roasted for the Kyle Hamilton take?
I mean, I hope so. If that's
Bring it, Macri.
People-
Roast us.
people really beating the Chuck Clark drum. Good luck.
Were those same guys standing for Chuck Clark last year?
Godspeed.
Probably.
Probably not. Yeah, Roquan Smith. I mean, the dude, 12 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and a defensive touchdown. I mean, aside from, wrapping his Lamborghini around a light pole a couple years ago,
Bunch of
maybe.
strippers. Hey, didn't something
maybe
come out about that the other day?
Yeah, there was some accusation made, I think, on
Roquan?
Yeah, on a TikTok that was the account was disabled right after that. This is a real story. Like, you can actually look this up, but I don't think anything's going to come of it.
I gotcha.
So Roquan Smith at number 2. If I were putting together dynasty rankings, I would have him there as well. Do you think the potential is there? I mean, this Bears team is going to suck. And who's the other linebacker there?
Nicholas Morrow.
Yeah.
Love him as a sleeper.
That'd be fine, yeah.
Yeah.
But, man,
But yeah, I mean, the opportunity is
with
all
Akeem
there
Hicks
for
now
Roquan.
in Tampa Bay,
That's the thing,
Khalil
there's
Mack in
just-
L.A.,
That's a
just
big
no
point as
talent
well.
there's
around him.
nothing. There is
Roy
nothing
Robertson
there.
Harris.
Yep. I like actually Travis Gibson, a guy that's a bit of a sleeper this year that no one talks about. Just side note.
You don't really like him that much.
250 tackles for Roquan Smith.
love him.
Let's wrap up with the Dynasty LB1. It's Chad Muma, folks.
Yes, sir.
Chad immediately got moved up. No, it's Micah Parsons. 84 total tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 3 pass breakups, 89.7 overall grade, 84% of snaps across 16 games, 19.7 points per game, 15.99, so basically 16 points per game. In his last 5 games,
The actual cheat code.
he really is. Like, I don't know what arguments you could make for not having Micah Parsons as your number 1, aside from maybe the role, maybe the big plays go down. So you're not liking banking on sacks
What's
and
it go
tackles
down
for
from?
loss.
It goes down from 41% to 30%.
Yeah. I think it's going to be the offseason hype is going to be he's going back to a more traditional linebacker role. Week 2, where they're scrambling to get anybody to rush the passer. They're
they
gonna
got
be like,
Sam Williams now. He can plug him in.
Mike,
He's
get your
ready.
ass back on the edge. You know where you need to be.
Or better yet, week 1, it's like, psych, Micah Parsons with 70% of his snaps at edge. Like, can't we see the Cowboys pulling some
And he
stuff
rips
like
off
this?
4 sacks.
Yeah. Everybody's like,
Sam
oh,
Williams.
God. Yeah.
But I think they're going to move him back to linebacker next game, though.
We've got Sam Williams, guys.
They
We're
need
good
him
now.
there. They need him at
Dante
linebacker.
I was
Fowler,
going
we're
to say,
good at
y'all are
edge.
burying the lead and Dante Fowler being there. Yeah, I don't know.
Oso Digizua.
I do
I
understand.
do like Dorrance Armstrong a little bit, too.
They do kind of have some fun little edge guys. Dante Fowler could have a resurgence. Sorry, Josh. We completely
That
interrupted
probably
you
speaks
there.
more to Micah Parsons should be playing more edge snaps because they have all these little fun edge types. It means that they
That
don't really have anyone
collectively
that
is like a
good.
big fat fart noise. Yeah. No, that's Sugar Daisy. Don't touch the board. Thank you, Eddie. That's all we need.
Pretty good one.
So, okay, because, for instance, I don't think John has Micah Parsons ranked as his Dynasty LB1.
No.
So, and I think
no one does. No one. Everyone's on the regression train.
John traded him for a first and a second.
And that's probably smart.
Yeah.
It's a good way to cash out. I mean, I can't blame him for doing that. He got the 106 in this draft and a second round pick. And I think he selected Devin Lloyd with that. So that was a
Jamison
beautiful-
Williams and Devin Lloyd. So you've replaced Micah
Beautiful.
Parsons and then grabbed.
That's how you do it, folks.
Yeah.
That's why John works for PFF.
Yeah.
Still
don't trust him.
I don't trust him at all.
doesn't like bacon, folks.
Yeah,
you can't
something's
trust
up.
him. What's wrong with you?
Something's up.
Yeah. Don't ever come to America, okay?
Okay. So I was just looking to see where he was. And so he has, for his linebackers, Roquan Smith, Darius Leonard, Micah Parsons. So not far off. I mean, he's got the top 3, same top 3, just in a different order.
That's good.
Who
Yeah.
scores more in 2022, Parsons or TJ Watt?
TJ Watt. You can't. I mean, TJ Watt's going off 21.5 sacks. He was an absolute monster. Okay, so let's look at the consistency stuff. Micah Parsons, under 10 points only twice. Over 10 points 14 times.
Sheesh.
Over 20 points 7 times. Over 30 points twice. TJ Watt, though. TJ Watt.
TJ Watt broke all the spreadsheets.
Under 10 points 3 times, over 10 points 11 times, over 20 points 9 times, over 30 points 5 times.
Yeah, Bobby's losing his mind over the Donald Duck boner gif that Aaron snuck into the doc for
didn't
Micah
see
Parsons.
this.
It's at the very bottom. Scroll to the very last page. I was just reading. I thought Bobby was really laughing at TJ Watt's like insane
that's a good
production.
One, Aaron. Good stuff.
Yeah. So counter argument, it's Micah Parsons, and just Google Donald Duck boner gif, and I'm sure you'll see it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think Josh mentioned earlier, fantasy football is about having fun, and Micah Parsons is one of the most unique and fun players we've ever seen on the defensive side of the ball.
That's the other thing, too, about him being a Dallas Cowboy. You're going to get to watch him on TV.
That is true. That's nice. You can get all those primetime games.
America's team. When can we change that to be a different team, please?
Make it Cleveland.
That's right.
This is
Let's rally around Watson.
yeah, let's call it 24th case as we were recording. No, I'm just kidding. But I wanted to read this from John's PFF right up here, which is free, folks. Go check it out over at pff.com. But he said Parsons is always going to be a pass rushing threat as a rookie drafted as a linebacker, earned a league high 93 pass rush grade. You're telling me they're going to move this guy back to linebacker. What I will say to that is I will believe it when I see it. Mm-hmm. I will believe it when I see it. I think these pieces they have, great, nice pieces. Your best edge rusher is still by far Micah Parsons. And that's a more valuable skill than what linebackers bring to the table.
Just saw 3 edge guys go in the top 5 in the NFL draft. It is the most valuable position on the defensive side of the ball. Micah Parsons is going to play at edge.
What are y'all doing? Are Parsons in Dynasty or redraft? I don't really care. Are y'all taking him over the 3 edges? Garrett, Bosa. I'm forgetting somebody else.
Yeah, he's in range. It's like, it should be like.
Are you taking Micah Parsons as the 101?
No.
I don't think I am
either.
either.
I'm still taking TJ Watt.
Yeah, I'm still taking the
Dynasty
3 edge
and
guys.
redraft.
Oh, Dynasty and on Sleeper, which that's another note. Sleeper,
Yeah.
he is a DL on Sleeper. So yes, on
Only
Sleeper.
only DL or
No,
dual?
He's dual.
Okay.
Sorry. DL LB on Sleeper. So he is the 101 on Sleeper.
Is
No
Watt
doubt.
as well? Watt's dual.
Watt's dual as well, but Watt's 27, 28.
What are we going to do when Parsons goes to defensive end in real IDP leagues?
He'll be
That'd be
the
sick as
Get a
hell.
massive bump.
he'll be the test case in how do we decide these thresholds and how do we decide to move guys over, because he's the one that's kind of the
If you look at Micah Parsons and how his career started, he looks like Khalil Mack, honestly. I mean, Khalil Mack, if you look at his tackle numbers early on in his career, they were like 80. I think he had like 80-something tackles, and then he had all those sacks. But, I mean, that's kind of who he looks like on the stat sheet. He looks like Khalil Mack. So we'll see how, the usage, looks going forward. But that's kind of who I think of Micah Parsons as, Khalil Mack, with more tackle upside. Which is beautiful.
I love it. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Khalil Mack had the tackle upside that Micah Parsons is gonna have as the best linebacker and the best edge rusher. Like, how many players can say they are the best at 2 positions on their own team?
Yep, he's a unicorn.
He's a freak, Bobo.
I don't disagree. I don't have him anywhere, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Wish I did.
All right, well, that was the top 25, I guess, technically, Dynasty linebackers. Folks, make sure if you want more Dynasty goodness, linebacker and otherwise, you can find Addy's Dynasty ranks. Logan did his as well, so we have a consensus. And what's cool with the ranks is you can break it out, so it'll have the consensus players listed for the Dynasty ranks, but you can click on the player's name and see where each of the rankers drafted or ranked those guys. So check it out, theidpdraftkit.com. We are so very excited about these rankings and this draft kit. We hope you all enjoyed this episode, guys. This was kind of a throwback, about a 2-hour sode here on May 31st. So
Needed it.
needed it. Start of summer. Hot weather's here.
Got a new baby.
Got a new
Be
baby.
out here as long as possible.
I was going to say, keep you out in the shed and away from that house as long as we can,
Oh,
Eddie.
Sure. Thank you, boys. I appreciate it. I need a break.
I appreciate you, Eddie. Appreciate you doing these ranks. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being on the golf course.
I love it. I love it.
I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go home.
I was
guys.
going to say, let's get out of here. We're pushing midnight.
Mm-hmm.
But we love and appreciate you guys. Appreciate you tuning in here on May 31st, listening to us talk about Dynasty Linebackers. You could be anywhere in the whole wide world. You could be on Park Mammoth, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.
In our hearts.
And we want to help you dominate your draft, so go check out the IDP Draft Kit. It's $20. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We're very proud of it. And
That's just 2 combos at Cane's.
that's right. That's breakfast at Chick-fil-A at this point.
That is breakfast at Chick-fil-A.
So-
had it this morning.
That's right. I had lunch. I had Chick-fil-A for dinner.
I had Bridgeport Market.
That's a tenderloin biscuit.
Hey, sausage.
Okay, well.
That's a downgrade.
It's a
Yeah,
mistake.
Nah, sausage is good.
sausage is fine. Sausage is fine.
It's fine, but it ain't that tenderloin
Ain't
biscuit.
tenderloin.
It ain't that tenderloin biscuit. I did it.
So with that, we're going to leave you all. And John Macri will be back in the feed next week talking rookie DBs with John Glosser. And then we will be coming back at y'all with some fun episodes the week after that. So stay tuned to the IDP Show feed. We're got you covered top to bottom, off-season, postseason, and everything in between. Hope y'all have a good week. We'll see y'all here in a bit. And until then, IDP's out.